Okay, well, I mean, I met most of you last session, so I'm really excited. I will do a reintroduction of myself in a little bit more detail today. Thanks everyone for joining me online, and to everyone here in the room, thanks for being here today. I think it's such a really important topic that we're talking about, behaviour guidance and regulation. I'll give you a little bit of background about me, because I know that, before I begin, I will do a quick acknowledgement of country. So I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land in which we are on today, and pay my respects to elders past, present and future, for they are the ones who hold the memories, traditions and culture of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here in the nation of Australia. So my background, I started in, my school is about 11 years old. I've got a Montessori education centre. We have programs from birth through to primary school. I'm based in Sydney. So I was doing that for a while, and actually we realised that there was a huge gap with what was happening in the home. So parents were always asking me, oh, Sylvia, can you kind of talk to us about what do we do at home with our kids, Montessori, communication, behaviour, all that kind of stuff. So a couple of years into the business, I realised that there was this gap where we really needed to help parents bridge what was happening in our schools and centres and what was happening at home. Because we all know that children really thrive when we have that kind of communication between what's happening at home in the centre. There's no point of us working with families and children and then them going home and a completely different thing is happening, and then they come back and it's just a disaster and nothing's really going to come out from it. So I decided to start running workshops and things, and then I kept doing the same thing over and over again, and I thought there's got to be an easier way to do this. So we decided to establish an online platform to support parents and caregivers. So that became almost like a support platform, and then it turned into educators. So that's Guide and Grow. At the moment, we currently have about 420,000 members globally. So that kind of just took off, and really it's about making Montessori accessible for everyone to access that information that they might not be getting access to. They might not have the ability to send their child to a Montessori childcare. And then through that, I became an international speaker. I've had the opportunity to be on Channel 9 and the Today Show talking about really important topics like education and how we can really have the best outcomes for our children. So I'm so honoured to be working with AMIGA Montessori. I'm all about quality education, especially in early childhood, particularly with effective communication, because we know that children thrive, particularly in that first 6 years of life, and the way we communicate and guide their behaviour will change the outcomes for children. And going through my training from a certificate all the way through to my master's in teaching, we were never given a module on how to talk to children or how to communicate or guide behaviour. You know, we learn about the theory of guiding behaviours and positive discipline, but no one actually gives us the practical examples of what to say and how to do it when you've got that child that's, screaming, kicking, hitting, biting. We've all been there. I've been there. And it really was my mission to change that. So I won't stop until the education department makes it a compulsory subject. And that's why I'm here today. I'm here to share with you the skills that were practiced and perfected for over 15 years. They're backed by child psychologists. So a lot of the theory that I talk about comes from the principles of Montessori, which we're going to quickly run over that. And it's really backed by bringing all those principles together and having that practical outlook from child psychologists and the way we communicate. So that's basically gives you a bit of a background on who I am and what I do, and I'm super passionate about Montessori. It was a really interesting story how I came about to it, but I'll probably fill you guys in on that later on when we're on a break. Okay, so I'm going to quickly recap a couple of the fundamental elements of Montessori. If I am looking at the screen, I'm just looking at the camera for everybody tuning in at home. But what we're going to do is we're going to cover a little bit about Montessori because I want to tie it to the way we communicate and how we're being conscious about communication and where Montessori fits into it. Because I know the first session was really about that child development, understanding children, communication in general, how to bridge that gap between parents and families and home, having difficult conversations. We'll go through that as well. But yeah, we just will cover this a little bit. So we know that number one is respect for the child. We see that child as capable, confident, we have respect for them, and we don't see them as, oh, they don't know anything, they don't understand, they're just a child. The second point is sensitive periods. Actually, before I continue, I just want to go through the workbook quickly. So everybody at home, we've got this workbook, the worksheet. When I go through my presentation, you will see gold stars on my presentation. As soon as you see the gold star, I'll help you, I'll point it out to you. That's where you're going to write it in your workbook so that after this session finishes, I know how hard it is to remember things. You know, we all kind of go back into our daily habits, we forget things. So this is going to be your guide so that you can reference that. On top of that, we have the policies and procedures document that we've gone through. So anytime you have a scenario that you think, oh my gosh, this child is hitting or biting, this is what happened today, I forgot my skills, I don't know what to do or say, you can go back to that manual by AMIGA Montessori that we've designed and, you know, made sure that everything is the right way. You guys can go back to that and refer to that so that you know exactly what to do. So I want you to feel confident that you can be present and interactive and all that, and you have all of those resources to back you up, and you can go away feeling like you've got something to refer to. Okay, so back to sensitive periods. Okay, so sensitive periods, we know that there are particular times of a child's brain and development that they're really wanting to learn a particular skill. So we see this when they try and repeat things, they might be toileting, they might be open to a particular skill, they're just, you know, using that fine motor skill and they're constantly doing that same thing. So we see this in children. Absorbent mind, we know that children's minds at this age is like a sponge. They're going to be taking in everything in their environment. And that includes the way we communicate. So I don't know if you guys know, but 60% of children aged 2 to 8 years old worldwide experience verbal aggression in the home, and 1 in 3 students are reporting verbal abuse in the classrooms. That includes early childhood. It was a UNICEF study that they did last year. So it's really about, they're taking in all that language. They're listening to the way you're speaking to that other child, the way you're communicating with your peers in the classroom. They take all of that in, which is why it's so important for us to have that conscious communication. Freedom of choice, freedom within limits. So I'm going to go through this in a lot more detail later on with freedom within limits, but basically Maria Montessori said that you need to give children freedom within certain limits. So there's this huge misconception, and I know probably a lot of your families will be like, oh, Montessori just lets children choose and do whatever they want, and, you know, there's no boundaries, but that's totally false. There is boundaries. The boundaries are they need to respect themselves, respect the environment, and respect each other. Okay, so they have the freedom, but within those boundaries. The next one is prepared environment. We know that children thrive when we've got a prepared environment. That involves the classroom environment. It involves the prepared adult, which is what we're going to talk about today, how we can be the best version of ourselves. And it includes the child themselves. Next, we have intrinsic motivation. So this is the motivation that comes from within a child. It means that they're doing something because they want to do it. They feel proud of themselves. They have this motivation. And the best thing about Montessori is that it teaches children how to learn, not what to learn. Okay, so they come out of it and they feel really motivated to be selecting work, to be choosing what it is that they want to do. But of course, that choice can come with boundaries. And when they are working on things that are individual, we need to respect those, which is what we're going to go through when we talk about building cooperation, how to get children to turn, take and share in Montessori. What does that look like? Independence and life skills. We know all about practical life skills in Montessori. Observation is key. So we spoke a lot about this in session 1. You know, how are you observing that child's behaviors? What is it that's triggering them? There's always an underlying need for a child when they're behaving in a certain way. It's not that they're doing something to, you know, to annoy you or to, you know, to annoy their friends. There's something deeply going on internally, and we need to use observation to understand what's happening for that child because they're just trying to communicate to us. The prepared adult, we spoke about that. So that involves, you know, how are you going to be walking into that classroom? You know, have you had a really rough morning? Have you had your own kids yelling and nagging at you before you leave, you know, the house? What have you dealt with before you've stepped into that classroom, and how are you stepping in so that you are prepared to be in that space? Because children pick up on our energy. You know, it doesn't matter what you say. Whatever we learn today, all of these skills won't matter if you are mentally frazzled, high energy, you know, upset, they're going to feed off that energy. So how are we preparing ourselves? How are you working with each other and asking each other, I've had staff walk in and they're visibly upset, and I will make sure that I have a conversation with them or something to make sure that they feel supported before they step in. So support each other. You guys are here together as a team, and it's so important to have each other's backs. And then the self-directed work. So obviously helping children select that work, but also respecting others that want to come in and maybe disturb that work. What does that look like as well? So this is a little wheel that I put together. If we really want to implement Montessori, we need to understand the principles, which we just spoke about. We know the essence of what Montessori stands for. We respect the child. We observe them. We follow their interests, and then we create an environment on how to help and support that child's development, okay? So this is just a little foundation wheel that I think is really fundamental when we talk about how we implement Montessori. And then what I did was I actually wrote a poster, and I'm going to give you guys all of these resources to take home to put in your classroom if you want, so that you remember what these principles stand for. So I wrote this myself. I thought it really encompassed what Montessori is about. We trust in the child being capable and confident. We respect that they're an equal and valued member of our community. We encourage their independence and allow them to assist. We love to use language like "you did it" to build their self-belief. We build the child's confidence by allowing them to learn from their mistakes. We observe closely to understand the child's interests. We accept that all emotions are valid and acknowledged. We instill healthy boundaries by practicing freedom within limits. We encourage turn-taking over sharing. We do our best to model and guide rather than instruct. And most of all, we believe that children are a hope and a promise for mankind. So I feel like this really encapsulates everything that we're going to be talking about today and how to really help children in that way. Now, Stella, I was going to do a little game with the people that are in the room. How do online people feel about that? We can do that. Yeah, what I might do is I put a few little, whatever's not relevant online, we can do at the end of the session, that's fine. But basically for everyone online, we're going to do a quick game of Chinese whispers, because it's really interesting when you get a whole group of people together and you start with one person, what happens at the end of that Chinese whispers when, the sentence goes from, oh, a teacher loves to have a cup of tea, and then it ends up like, oh, the teacher went for a walk with her dog or something totally unrelated. And this is why communication is so important, because we know as it goes down the line, things happen, miscommunication happens, things change, and then it ends up being a little bit of a disaster. Okay, so I just want to quickly recap what we did last session, and then I'm going to show you what we're going to cover today. So addressing difficult conversations. I'd love to know, and you guys can pop it in the chat if you're listening from home or office, and you guys can help me here. Have you had a difficult conversation with a family since the last session? How did that go for you? I'll go through the steps, and then I would love to hear feedback from anyone in the room or online, and let me know how that conversation went, and we can break that down and just understand what it is that you struggled with, what happened really, what was really good about it. Maybe you used some of the skills and you thought, oh, that was really responsive, that's fantastic. So active listening, making sure that we're not just listening to react to somebody, but we're responding, we're hearing what they say, we repeat what they say. Oh, you really are concerned about your child eating, for example. Empathetic responses, that can be really hard to think about that, or to be doing that, acknowledging them. Open-ended questions. How does that make you feel? That's an open-ended question, right? What can we do to support you? It's not a yes or no, it's how can we work together? Positive body language, the way I'm kind of speaking to you guys now, open arms, not standing there like with your arms crossed, or, closed off body language. Feedback loop, so offer them a choice. I can hear that's a really difficult thing for you. This is what we can do, A or B. What do you think? What would you think would be most beneficial for your child? Always put it back onto the parents. Always ask them what they think, even if you know the answer. So a lot of the time we know what we should be doing or what would be best for that particular child, but we need to get the parents on side. So the best way to do that is basically open it, ask them the question and give them a choice. Then you can also give them information. So anything, oh, I found this research to be really helpful, blah, blah, blah. Have a look at it. Let me know what you think. Always ask them. let me know what you think. And then sandwiching feedback, positive, negative, positive. So if you do have that particular child that we love, and you need to give feedback to the parent that they had an incident during the school or something happened, we always want to say, oh, there was a great moment that I found that X was listening, they were engaged in our conversation. However, we did have this incident of blah, 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 but we've seen such an improvement. You get what I mean? So it's just sandwiching that feedback. Does anyone have any kind of comments, or was there a situation that happened that you had a difficult conversation with a parent that you'd like to share with the group? I saw some nodding here. I'll pick on you if you don't. Yes.
Yes. We have a child. The child is not diagnosed yet, and we may see some symptoms, but families are very positive about that. It's just a communication.
Yeah.
There is no special needs or nothing right now, which we started conversation with that child is struggling with this, and parents came back to us like, that's not the child, that's the way you are supporting the child and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We changed our style. So instead of now, last conversation, I can see it was very positive with family. What we did is that we created the support plan, and instead of saying the child is struggling, we say we are struggling to support child's needs. So we changed the way we looking at the child. We says that we need support to help child, to support child's needs in the classroom.
Yes.
His needs are different, and we want to support him. So we created our support plan as per. Really nice, very positive. Family went home happy. Even they gave us that how they are supporting child at home.
Amazing.
With certain, let's say, nap changes.
Yep.
And also they asked us for some strategies.
Incredible. That's incredible. Look at how after you had that conversation in a positive way and you asked them for help or that feedback, they have then given you, you're working together and they're asking you for strategies on how they can support their child. That's incredible. Those are the moments that are going to change the outcomes for children and help bridge that gap between what's happening at the home and the centre. Yeah, well done. That's amazing. Good on you guys. Okay, so we've got a lot to cover today, and I know I speak really fast, so I apologize about that, but we've got plenty of time to go through everything today. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is building self-regulation. How can we really help children when they're going through big emotions and developing that emotional intelligence in children, okay? And then we're going to go through building cooperation, so how to get children to listen and cooperate when they just don't want to. And then it's building self-discipline. The reason why we call it self-discipline is because we know that children need to have that intrinsic idea of, oh, I know that this is the right or wrong thing to do. And they also need to operate within those boundaries. So it's all about us to create those healthy boundaries for children. Okay. In your workbooks as well, you will see sections that just have a grey area that says My Notes, okay? Those are just free areas for you guys to write in anything extra that you feel would be beneficial that's not marked by a gold star during the presentation, because then that way you know that everything's in the one place and you don't need to look elsewhere. We know that positive relationships are the foundation for children's social, emotional, and cognitive development. When children feel secure and they belong, they feel a lot better. They have self-esteem, they feel more confident, and those behaviours that we see will be less and less. It provides children the opportunity to build emotional regulation skills because they trust you. When children trust and have that bond with an educator, it means that they feel comfortable enough to let it all out, to feel supported, like that person's going to be there for me when I'm having a hard time. They're not going to judge me. They're not going to put me down. They're not going to shame me. Why are you being like that? How many times have I told you, you need to listen? All of that is never helpful for a child that's struggling. They need to think, oh my gosh, I'm having such a hard time. I need a hug. I need this. I'm angry. I'm upset. They have the courage to say those things and look to you because you made them feel that way, particularly for the children that we kind of put in this box, the challenging child or oh, here we go, James is coming in today. Oh, let's all get ready, that kind of opinion. It allows for development of social skills, so empathy, communication, cooperation. It builds resilience, and it can help them cope with difficult situations. And then, of course, like I spoke about, it's that trust that you're building with them. So it's super important to make children feel like you care and you connect with them and they can trust you. When little people are overwhelmed by big emotions, it's our job to share our calm, not join in their chaos. One quick story. Whenever you see the little book, it means that I'm going to tell you a story. But the first thing I want to talk about is an incident that happened within our, so I was on prac, I was in a mainstream centre, I was on prac for one of my teaching degrees or masters or something, and we had to pick a focus child. And the team was like trying to help me, like, oh, maybe you should choose this one because they're interested in this or whatever. And they're like, oh, no, don't choose this particular child. They're like, not, they use words like nightmare or they're challenging. And I just thought, that's going to be my focus child. Thank you very much. And the most incredible thing is they're like, oh, they never listen. They never engage in group time. They're always running around, good luck to you. And I was like, great, bring it on. I brought in Montessori materials into the classroom. I started understanding who that child is. What are they interested in? I gave that child my dedicated time. And I used Montessori materials. I came in, we did movable alphabet, all that sort of stuff. By the end of that 6-week prac, that child was sitting at the front of the mat with their hand up, engaged in group time, really calm, loving interacting with their friends. And they're like, Sylvia, this is a completely different child. I'm like, yeah, it is, because nobody gave that child an opportunity. Nobody actually gave them their time, that child their time to be able to, transform that, because it really does. When you see a child acting like that, there must be so much going on in the background. Yes, Stella? Oh. Now, I want you guys to imagine yourself driving along on a road trip. Okay, you got your best friends in the car next to you. You guys are driving along. You're on the highway. You've got your favorite tunes. I don't know if you're into Taylor Swift or whatever it is that you like listening to. And you guys are driving along and you're conversating with each other and everything's going really well. And then all of a sudden a truck comes and swerves right in front of you and you slam the brakes, you turn into the next lane and you were just about to have an accident. The person next to you starts questioning you. Why did you do that? Why did you swerve? Oh my God, you made me so scared. The person in the back's like, oh, maybe if you had some more driving lessons, you'd be a good driver. The third person gives you advice. I would never do that, la, la, la. Meanwhile, your feelings are escalating, right? The fourth person goes, oh my gosh, are you okay? That car just swerved in front of you. And then at that moment, what happened to your emotions? They calm down, right? So what we do is we question children. We ask them questions. Why did you do that? That's not nice, da, da, da. We give them a lecture, gentle hands with your friends and then we start lecturing them or we start giving them advice. But what we didn't do is we didn't acknowledge their emotion firstly, right? So they're still in this state of heightened emotions, chaos. Oh my God, I'm flustered. Like if I was about to have a car accident, I'm on adrenaline, I'm flustered, I'm upset. And someone's trying to lecture me or give me an advice. Not the right time, give me a hug, give me water, let me calm down before you can do that. If this is the one skill that you guys take away from here today, it is the most important thing to connect with a child, acknowledge their feelings before we do everything else that we're going to learn to do, okay? Because when their feelings are really heightened, children don't have the capacity to come up and meet us at our calm. We have to use our calm and come down to their level and really help them calm down. It's called co-regulation, okay? So here's our golden stars. Everyone pull out your workbooks. The first skill that we're going to learn is acknowledge feelings, okay? So we're going to write that under the skill section. And then in our little remember box for everyone at home, if you guys can see that, I'm just seeing where my camera is, remember box. In the remember box, we're going to put all feelings are accepted, certain behaviours are not tolerated, okay? In your little box, remember. I'm going to explain what that means. All feelings are accepted, okay? That means anger, frustration, whatever, jealousy, all the negative emotions are accepted, okay? But the behavior that's associated with that is not. Meaning if somebody's going to go and hit someone because they feel frustrated, that's not okay. If somebody then is going to throw a toy across the room because they really wanted to use it and it wasn't their turn and they throw it across the room, that's not accepted. But their feeling about it is accepted. Okay, so we're going to talk about what that means. A lot of the time as adults, we just want to fix things, okay? Because that's how we are as adults. We want to find a solution. We want to fix things. Oh, it's broken. Let me find you another one. Let me get you another one. Or the tower fell down. Oh, it's okay. We'll build another one. But it's not okay because that child has spent so long building that thing. So we have to acknowledge them. Oh, that's so disappointing. I would be so upset if my tower fell down and I spent so much time doing it. Then you can offer every solution under the sun. You can distract them. You can do whatever it is that you need to do, but you have to connect with that child in that moment. And it's not always about fixing things. It's just about being there for them. Dismissive. So sometimes we say, oh, it's okay. Don't worry. You're fine. You know, it's okay. It'll be fine. We'll do this. We'll do that. But it's not fine. It's not okay. We have to allow children to be upset and learn how to be upset in the right way. It's really sad. Oh, that's so upsetting. Let's do this. Or can we go? Would you like a hug? Whatever it is. Because these are the moments that we're actually building emotional regulation. We're teaching them how to cope with emotions. And it's really important that we don't just dismiss it because that's a learning opportunity. That's the opportunity for social emotional learning. Okay. And we don't want to miss those opportunities. Because we fall into that habitual language. We're just responding all the time, but we're not really thinking about, hey, hang on a minute, this is a great learning opportunity. I'm going to respond. And these can be all part of your learning stories, your intentional teaching moments for the day. Never underestimate the way you're communicating and the skills that you're using can't be put into what you're doing as a daily reflection or outcome based on what you need to do for the day. Threatening them, if you don't stop crying, you're not going outside. Not the right way to respond to a child that really needs your support. Or punishing them. That's something that we don't really do in childcare anyway, or in early childhood, because we know that if we remove a child from a situation, it's not teaching them anything. It's just telling them that if you are going to struggle with your emotions, I'm not going to be there for you. And that's just not okay. Okay, so everyone can do this online as well. I just want you to take a moment to have a look at scenario 1. So scenario 1 is Sophie, 20 months, has been dropped off at the ECEC setting by her mother and she's visibly distressed. Her mother leaves her in your care and she's still crying. How would you respond? I want you to use the skill that we just learnt, acknowledging feelings. Write down what you would say, word for word. Oh, Sophie, you look so upset. You miss your mum. Acknowledge her feelings in a way that feels right for you. Everyone has a different way of communicating, but I want you to use the language and those particular words that you would use using that particular skill. I'll just give you 30 seconds to do that. If anyone virtually wants to type their responses into the chat, feel free. I'd love to read 1 or 2 of them out. Because the way that we really learn is by collaborating and understanding from each other, the way we communicate and what feels right for us too. So I'm going to get 1 or 2 people to share in the room and then I might repeat it so that you guys can connecting with them. Yes, but what does that sound like? So it's really important that you know the language that you're going to use. How are you going to connect with them? It's a really great point. Connection is key, but we need to know, what does that sound like for you? How are you going to say that to that child to connect with them? Anyone in the room want to put their hand up and volunteer? Yes. Tell me your name so that Molly, okay.
I wrote, Sophie, I can see that you're really sad because mum's gone. It's okay to be sad. I'm here for you. Should we go to the art area and make a card together for mum?
Amazing. So what Molly, for everyone just listening in online, she said, Sophie, I see that you're really sad. So she acknowledged her feelings. You really miss mummy. She let the child know what she's going through. And then she said, I'm here for you. every child's dream to hear that from an educator and genuinely feel that someone's there for them. And then she offered probably an activity that she thought that Sophie was interested in. Art, let's make a card for your mummy. Cards always work really well for children that miss their mummy or their parents. They could have selected something to bring from home, but that's a perfect example of how to connect and acknowledge feelings for a child that's upset. Does anyone else want to share? No? All right, I won't pick on you this time because it's still early, but I will next time. Okay, and I'll just check the chat. Great. Very quiet chat, but that's okay. It's always expected online. Okay. All right, so on the next page, okay, we've got building emotional intelligence. Okay, so these are your 1, 2, 3. I want you guys to write these 1, 2, 3 as I go through them. So, number 1, we just spoke about that. Help children recognize and label emotions. So using that rich vocabulary is super important. Whether you have a wheel, I know that I've got a little feel wheel on your workbooks. I'm just going to show you guys that at home. In this little feel wheel, there are so many different emotions, whether it's sad, upset, when they're younger, you might use simple words like feeling sad, feeling frustrated, feeling upset, but then there are other words that are a lot more descriptive for children to be using. Don't ever be afraid to use rich language with children. This is the opportunity that really helps them to understand their emotions. We know children's front part of the brain, so the part that deals with emotional regulation, prefrontal cortex, it doesn't fully develop until they're 26 years old. So we know when they feel a certain way, they do not have the brain capacity or development scientifically to respond the way that they should by logically processing that emotion. So the more that we can help them understand about emotions, the more easier it is for them to cope. Naming emotions as they happen, really important. If you see a child that's really frustrated, if you see them upset, whatever it is, that is the moment where they can really understand what it is that's going on for them and towards their friends, for example. Reading books about them. I know that everybody uses books as a resource. It's a fantastic way when children are really engaged in storytelling to understand different emotions. I know we've got a couple of series of books. We've got the one with the rabbit with the, when I'm feeling kind, when I'm feeling happy. They love those books so much. And then you've got ones from child psychologists that have beautiful pictures and when I'm feeling angry, this is what I can do. These are great opportunities after the fact of the event that's happened that you can help children process and understand what they can do. There's no point of doing it in the moment unless they're calm enough for them to then connect and be like, oh yeah, I do want to choose a book. Let's go choose a book, and they're happy to choose a book. Using open-ended questions. If they're older children in preschool, asking them, how does that make you feel? What are you feeling inside? Can you describe what's happening in your stomach? Do you need a drink of water? Whatever it is, try and get them to be aware of their body and what's happening internally, because we all feel that when we get upset, nervous, frustrated, whatever, we all feel these sensations. It's the nervous system trying to process what's going on. High heart rate, feeling hot, oh, does your face feel hot? Or do you feel, we never really talk to children about that. And I feel it's really interesting because as an adult, we need to recognize when we feel nervous, upset, frustrated, scared, and we need to realize what's happening with our body so that we know how to process those emotions. Do we breathe? Do we drink a sip of water? Whatever it is that we do. And modeling that emotional awareness. I remember one time I had two children that, I acknowledged all their feelings. I was using all the skills with them, but they really were just not listening. And everyone was sitting on the bench and we were trying to get ready to go outside. And I said to them, it's so frustrating when I've asked, 3 times for, blah, 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 whatever it was. I'm just going to take a moment and take a deep breath and I'll be with you in a minute. Because it is a point sometimes where you get frustrated as an adult. I wasn't upset. I wasn't yelling. I was just letting the children know how I was feeling. And that was at a tipping point, mind you. It's very rare that we have those moments, but we all have those moments at some point. There could have been something that triggered you. A child, was hitting me. So I was feeling quite frustrated at that moment and upset. So it's important to model that. What does that look like? Children, oh, I'm feeling frustrated. I'm just going to take a step away and I'm going to get a sip of water so that I can calm down. These are really great opportunities for children to model off you. Don't be afraid to let them know how you're feeling. And there's a difference between, I'm feeling so frustrated, nobody's listening to me, right? Or if I calmly say to them, it's so frustrating when I'm trying so hard right now and nobody's cooperating, right? Children innately don't want to make you feel bad. And if they genuinely know that you're not upset at them, it's just the way you're feeling, they actually respond so much. Like they'll all be, oh, Miss Sylvia, do you need some water? Do you need this? Do you need that? And then because they've learnt those skills, they come to you and they're there for you when you need them the most. And I think that's the most beautiful thing. In the pictures, you'll see there's a little emotions, wooden cards that we have there. There's a little flip book with different emotions so children can visualize what that looks like. We have an angry hippo and a sad sullen. They're very cute toys that children can pick up and squeeze and relate to when they're feeling a certain way. We often have children that get sad. They'll take sad sullen and just sit in our little time in corner where they can just process the fact that they feel sad. And then having those visual cues is really important. That chart is probably one of our best resources. Children will go over there, and even if they're not feeling anything, they're hanging out in that area. I'll show you what it looks like. They'll start conversating with their friends. They'll be like, oh, what are you today? How are you feeling today? And, and they open these conversations about feelings. I mean, that is one of the most incredible skills to give a child that young to be able to cope and process their emotions. Number 2, practice empathy and social skills. So encourage perspective taking. And we do this when children are really upset or something happened between the two of them. And we say, oh, she looks really upset right now, so disappointed. Like, how do you think she feels? Or how do you think you would feel if you were left out of not being not playing, in that situation? So sometimes we need to let them know, encourage that question about that person's perspective. Oh, I know I would feel so disappointed if everyone was allowed to play and I wasn't. I would feel really disappointed, right? That's showing a child what it feels like to take the other person's perspective, because they don't know that yet. They haven't learnt that yet. This is the time where they're learning about social skills. Role-playing scenarios. Having your little, whatever it is that you guys use, your dolls or figurines and stuff, get children in a small group and practice that role-playing. Make up a little scenario. Children learn best through storytelling. They absolutely love it. Promoting active listening and social games to promote teamwork. I find that the best teamwork and cooperative activity that we've done is news time. So we allow children in preschool to bring a certain activity, and a few of them will sit around in a group and have turn taking of bringing what they've brought from home. They put their hands up, they take turns, all that kind of stuff. It promotes that cooperation in a smaller group, not in such a large group where it's uncontrollable. So I find that children work when you've got them in smaller little groups, and then they actually can develop those skills. And then problem solving skills. So if they feel a certain way, ask them a question. What will make you feel better? What do you think will help you? Would you like Play-Doh? Do you want to make a card for your mum like we had earlier? This is really important, that you allow the child to talk to you and let you know what's going to feel best for them, because every single child will have a different strategy. They'll have a different way of coping. What works for one child is not going to work for another child. So we have to make sure that we're tailoring these skills, particularly for the children in our care. Has everyone finished from that slide? Yep, good. And online, don't worry, I'm still with you guys. Stella's keeping an eye out for me in case I need to slow down or stop. Okay, actually, we're all going to do this exercise. What's in their backpack? So if you've got a spare piece of paper, or maybe on the back of one of the pages if there's a spare spot, I want you to draw a backpack. If you're not artistic, it's fine. Just draw a square. And I want you to imagine what's inside that backpack. Meaning, what are some of the things that you think a child might be struggling with at home, in their home environment, in their families? Personally, if they're struggling with communication, for example, their speech might not be ready. If they're a baby and they have separation anxiety, I want you to understand what's in their backpack, meaning what is that child coming to school with, or when I say school, I mean early childhood setting. What are they coming to your ECE setting with, whether they're a baby or not? You know, they miss connection with their mum. Because that's what's going to help us understand what is in their behaviour or why they're behaving a certain way. We know that behaviour is communication. There's an emotional, a physical or a mental need that's not being met. That is why the child is crying, screaming, hitting, biting, throwing, whatever it is that we see. So I'm going to give you a minute or two to draw a backpack. And it could be a square if you're not very artistic, and put a few things in that backpack. And we're going to go around the room, and online, I want each one of you to write down one thing that's in the backpack, because it will be a great activity to do to showcase exactly what children might be struggling with that we might not think about when they walk into our settings. And it's actually really interesting because when you get to know your children, you will see when they walk in if there's extra things they're carrying in their backpack. You know, we see some particular children that we know that they've struggled at home, they might have had an incident happen. You can tell by the way they're acting as soon as they walk in, whether they're hyper, whether they're upset. When you're in tune with your kids, you'll start to recognize these things. Often we don't even think about this part. We just say, oh, well, you know, hi, come in, and we're ready for our day, but we haven't actually thought about maybe that child's environment and what's happened in their day before they've even come to childcare. Okay, let's go around the room. Just say your name and yeah.
I'm Gail.
Gail?
To understand one.
Yeah, just say one thing that's in the backpack.
Lack of connection with parents.
Lack of connection with parents. What a fantastic point to make. It is so hard for parents to have any time just to be intentional and have that one-on-one moment with their kids. And that's such a huge thing that we see children craving and they're not getting it. So yeah, 100%.
A calming toy.
A calming toy.
Car or a
Yeah, great.
Which helps them to feel relaxed.
Yeah, sure.
And they feel overwhelmed.
Yep. On the front table. Hello, front table.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing, like some home toys, which keeps them calm. Sometimes they have some stones or something which will.
Yeah, so what I want you to do with this exercise is think about, it's almost like a metaphor, okay? So the backpack is something that they're carrying these emotions, these feelings. So I want you to think about something that might be happening at home, or something that they might be feeling like, oh, I'm scared to go to childcare today because I don't know if I'm going to make friends with someone, or, you know, I don't know how to communicate because I'm only 18 months and I don't know how to get my words out. So think about a behavior or something that they might be feeling. They might be hungry. Fantastic. Yes, a physical need. They might be hungry. They might not even had breakfast. So that's something that they might be carrying with them to childcare that we don't even realize, and that's, you know, their behavior comes out.
Hello, my name is Chin.
Chin.
There's always children bring their soft toys from home.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's a big sign of a sense of insecurity.
Insecurity. Fantastic. Yes, absolutely.
Difficult saying bye to mom and dad.
Yeah, a hard time saying goodbye. So separation anxiety is one of the key things that we see in childcare, because it is really hard. They hardly get any time at home, especially if they're coming full time to childcare, you know, to say bye to their parents. So yeah, definitely.
So I want the mom's photo in the back, because we had a child who was having the big smile with the mom's photo, and he always looked the mom photo in the back.
Yeah.
If it's not there, he was not happy. So
Yeah.
I want the mom's photo for that time, or otherwise the mom's jumper he was happy.
Yes.
But he settled so well after that. And
So feeling sad, that child is feeling sad, that's what they might be coming to school with. They're coming to school with this feeling of feeling sad because they're leaving their mum behind.
Yeah.
So having something like that is great.
Sometimes stressed
Stressed, yes. They might be feeling stressed and we don't even know why, or they don't even know why, but they just do feel stressed or overwhelmed. Yeah. Stella?
I'm thinking something different. I'm
Yeah.
thinking of I wish someone would notice me.
Amazing. So Stella said, I wish someone would notice me. So some children feel really kind of unnoticed. You know, there might be a family of 5 people and they're the last child, you know. So they might just be feeling totally unnoticed and lack of connection. So that's what they're coming into your environment with, and we don't even know about that. At the back?
Late night, you can sleep.
Late night, yeah. How many kids have come to school and their parents like, oh, we had a really late night last night. They only slept for like 3 hours or 4 hours. They might be super, super tired. Yeah, definitely. That's a common one.
I have had 3 things like in our mentioned, same like how Gail mentioned, quality time with parents.
Quality time, yeah.
If both parents are working,
Yeah.
it becomes very hard for parents when they have to make the dinner, put them
Yep.
to sleep. So they didn't have that connection that they had to make with the child.
Yep.
And again, they're bringing them back in the morning.
Yep.
So the child is not got the connection that they're
Course.
craving for.
Yep.
And that's where one thing I feel like, that's lacking.
Yeah.
And that's when they don't feel right. Because
Absolutely.
Again, the same thing is a
Cycle.
mistake.
It's the cycle, yeah.
And they can't come back.
And you know what? I feel like as educators though, we have the ability to help them work through that. Right? So if we're actually aware of the fact that they might be coming to school with this feeling of lack of connection, it's so hard for you to leave your mum and dad behind and you haven't had much time with them. Like, that's why I'm here. I'm here to, support you. Would you like to play? Like, just acknowledging what they're feeling in that moment and offering to play and connect with them. It's such a small thing, but it's so valuable. And you see how their behavior completely changes when you have that 5 minutes of connection with them. So yeah, absolutely. It's a powerful thing.
I said they might have parents struggling with mental illness. Like a bit of
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Parents could be struggling mentally, emotionally, physically. We see it. I once had a parent who was so anxious about leaving her child. She'd never left her anywhere before, and she was panicking. And the child will pick up on that, right? So it's about how can I comfort her, make her trust me, and and make her feel comfortable even after drop off that everything's, because that child is going to feed off that too. So absolutely, parents can be struggling with a lot as well. And guilty, they might be feeling guilty. Oh my gosh, like I don't want to drop my child, but I have to, so yeah.
I guess pressure from parents for them to learn something or constantly telling the child, you're going to be okay in childcare when it's actually sometimes okay to not be okay.
Be okay. Yeah. So we had a lovely comment where someone said sometimes parents will be like, oh, it's okay, don't worry, to their child, but they know that they're not going to be okay. And parents kind of have to put on that front, like, I need to be strong for you, but I'm really struggling and it's not okay. And actually allowing parents, as adults, nobody even told us that it's okay not to be okay. We always have to be strong. We always have to be there for everybody else, particularly as women, holding the fort down if you've got your own family and children. But sometimes we struggle, and it's okay to let someone know. I've had conversations with parents because I'm like, it's really hard for you to leave your child here. And then they just open up, I'll have to get a box of tissues. But that moment is so important just for them to let it out, because they don't sometimes have anyone else to talk to. They don't have family support, some of them. So you'd be surprised how important those little moments and conversations are that actually then filter into the child, the behaviour, the whole dynamic of that classroom. Yeah.
I feel like all of them have been said that I had on my list.
That's okay.
But maybe struggling with friendships.
Yeah.
Having that angst, not knowing what's going to be like today,
Yes.
who am I going to play with,
Yep.
things like that.
Yeah, I have had children that have come in that have a little bit of social anxiety. So they might not know, like, who am I going to play with today? And they'll just stand there really nervous at the front door and just watch the whole classroom and not really know where to go or who to talk to first. So these are all the things that we need to be aware of when we're thinking about children and what they're coming into our settings with. I know you had your hand up.
And the same thing I was going to say, lack of connection with teachers.
Yeah.
Because some children are very quiet.
Yeah.
And sometimes we notice a lot of children who are talking or not behaving,
Yeah.
in their certain ways. So, but those children get ignored, who are quiet.
Yes.
So that's a
What was your name?
Manpreet.
Manpreet? Manpreet made such a great point. The quiet children are often the ones that get like neglected or like in the corner because they're just quiet and doing their own thing. And we actually had a little girl, the one of the anxious mum. She's quite quiet and you know, reserved. And she would kind of just be there, but she was struggling. And she had an accident, and she had been toileted, like for a long time she knew how to be toileting independently. And we realized it was because she was feeling anxious and insecure, and we needed to help her be more intentional. Because she was quiet, we needed to connect with her and make sure that she was okay, that she just didn't go unnoticed. So it's such a fantastic point to make. Make sure that you're keeping an eye on all the children, not just the ones that are the loud ones that are needing your attention at that moment. So yeah. Oh, yep. Okay. Oh, here we go. The weather. Yes, I know. We're like adults, you know, the weather. Someone said the weather. I love that. When it's, you know, depressing and raining and all that sort of stuff. Okay, a memory from a morning routine. It could be emotional, happy or sad. Absolutely. Anxiety, inconsistent routines at home. Illness. They might be feeling unwell. Language barrier. Always, sometimes there's a huge language barrier with, you know, the communication, and they're feeling a little bit uneasy. I know we've had that situation. Trauma from recent incidents, absolutely. Mums being pregnant, oh my gosh, the arrival of another child, or, you know, that's like one of the major things that set children off. Changing homes, you know, going to a different house, going on vacation, one of their parents going overseas. How many times have children come and I'm like, and I asked the parents, oh, they were really off today. There was something going on for them. Has anything happened at home? Oh, yeah, their mum just went away, or their dad just flew away for a week, or whatever it was. And we realized that something else is going on. Loss of a loved one, absolutely. Yeah, grandparents especially. Older siblings being on school holidays. Oh my gosh, I love that, Kathleen. So when older children are on school holidays, oh my gosh, they don't want to come to childcare because, you know, I'm going to miss out. Everyone's having fun at home. You know, what about me? So that's a really difficult moment for that child to then want to come. What I find helpful in that situation if the older siblings help that child settle in. Oh, let me choose where I'm going to put your bag for you. Or I want to put your lunchbox away for you. The older siblings are, you know, putting their lunchbox away, and oh, show me what your favorite thing to play with is, right? So that they're coming in they're guiding that child into the space. The child feels connected because their siblings there for a minute. They see what their favorite thing is, and then you can kind of ease that transition off a little bit. So you can use that situation, Kathleen, to your advantage as well. All right, awesome. Okay. So now we're going to go on to the next page, which is building cooperation. So there's two quotes here from Maria Montessori. To let the child do as he likes when he has not yet developed any powers of control is to betray this idea of freedom. Okay, so she's saying if you just let a child do whatever they want when they don't have that developmental ability to control themselves, you're actually betraying the idea of freedom, meaning that children need boundaries. They need healthy boundaries. It's exactly what I spoke about, this morning on the news. Carl asked me, he goes, oh, but if you give a child too much choice, they're just, it's not going to happen that way. And I said, no, it's all about that freedom within limits. And then I explained to them a child needs freedom within limits. I spoke about that earlier. It's about having respect for themselves, respecting the environment, and respecting each other. If they don't do any of those things, they've operated outside of the healthy boundaries. That's when we put in the natural consequences. That's when we, help them to understand what those boundaries are and how we can deal with them. Okay, so top tips for babies. So number one, this is our little golden star, everyone. So 4 little stars there. So you can write respect, consent, rich language, don't just do to them. Okay. So number 1, respect. Babies deserve the same respect and tone that we would give to our colleagues, to adults, to their parents. So every interaction teaches babies self-worth. If we speak to them how we would normally speak as adults to each other, we're actually showing them that we respect them. Babies do understand. They do take in all of that rich language that we're talking to them about, and that's how they're building their vocabulary. You might have a tone that's inflected, like, oh, you look so happy today, because they're responding to that energy, that tone. But it's really important to respect them as a human being. Don't just be all goo goo gaga, which we know that that's not the way we communicate with babies. Consent, asking before acting, always. Is it okay? I'm just going to pick you up. I'm just going to pick you up to do your nappy change. Is that okay? Even if a baby cannot respond to you, you are showing them that you respect them before you move them. So often these babies, imagine if you were a baby sitting on the floor, playing with your toys, and I just come along and I literally just grab you. We're going to change your nappy. It's like, oh my God, like what just happened? You wouldn't do that to an adult. I wouldn't go over to Stella and grab her pen and be like, oh, well, I'm just going to go use this pen now. I'll be right back. It's so disrespectful. It's like, why do we think it's okay to just pick up babies and do what we do without asking if it's okay with them? Pause for response. Sometimes if we just have like 2 seconds, and I know it's hard in childcare when you've got, 12 babies that you need to change and whatever, but if we just pause, look for their eye contact, look for their hand movements, look for their gestures in their body. They could move something, they could just smile at you. Oh, I can see it's okay for me to pick you up now, right? It sounds ridiculous, but really that's an opportunity to really give that baby so much respect and seeing them as capable and seeing them as a whole human being, okay? Rich language, talk with them, not just to them. Again, like I said, talk to them. Oh, it looks like you're really happy today, and you can talk about your day as well. Or, oh, would you like this maraca? Look at it, it's pink and blue and whatever it is. And offer them a choice. Would you like this one or this one? You choose. Babies will choose. I'll tell you an example. A 9-month-old baby in one of my classes was actually really upset. They didn't want to pack away the maraca. Okay, so every time the mum was in the class, so we do a parent-toddler program, so the parents are involved in our program. The mum would take off the maraca from the baby. She would start crying. Okay, so the mum gave it back. Again, we finished singing time. We need to pack away the maraca. The mum took it off the baby and packing away. The baby's crying. She looks at me. I'll never forget this moment. Sylvia, why is my baby crying every time I took the maraca from her? I said, well, firstly, did you ask before you just took the maraca from her? And she's like looking at me like weird, like, what do you mean ask? And then I said, yeah, and she's having so much fun. And she goes, oh, can you help me? I was like, yeah, of course I can. I bring the basket of maracas over and I looked at the baby and I said, you're having so much fun. What did I do? We learnt the skill. Acknowledge feelings, right? You're having so much fun. It's so hard to pack away the maraca. When you're ready, you can put it in my hand or put it in this basket. You choose. And the mum's just looking at me like I'm crazy or something. Like, what do you mean? This baby's not going to understand what you're saying. And the baby looks at me and she drops the maraca into the basket. No crying, no upset, no nothing. And the mum was like shocked, with this face like, oh my gosh, she was converted after that moment. But it's these moments that solidify the fact that babies will respond and they can understand. And you need to give them the opportunity to do that. And once you start seeing it, you think, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, it really is amazing when you see babies that young be able to indicate to you or respond to you or smile, whatever it is, because they actually, and this is what lays the foundation for their thinking and understanding the world around them. So absolutely. And again, involve them in caregiving routines. Don't just rush through tasks. That's disconnection. We talk about the fact that it's so important for us to be intentional in our teaching, planning for the day. If you're working with babies, these caregiving routines when they're babies and really young, especially under 6 months, they are opportunities for learning. Don't think, oh, I've got to feed them a nappy change so I can do this activity with them. No, it's the other way around. It's the way you speak to them. It's the way you're picking them up. It's the way you're connecting with them and using those caregiving routines to put the learning in it. We talk about Montessori, it's really about following the children and where they're at developmentally. So those are my top tips for babies. So, and this is a quote from Maria Montessori to back that up. We must not, therefore, in dealing with children, make them believe that they are insignificant beings we imagine them to be. So she realized that people thought of babies and young children as insignificant. So this is really important. And she really highlighted that in her work. All right, so we went through this in the first session. I'm going to quickly scan over this. So reframing the terrible twos. For me, it's the terrific twos, okay? This is the time where toddlers are developing their personality, their character, how they operate in the world around them, the rules of existence. We know a toddler's rule of property. I went through this. If I like it, it's mine. If it's in my hand, it's mine. If I can take it from you, it's mine. They're going through this egocentric phase. If I had it a little while ago, it's mine. If it looks like mine, it's mine. If I saw it first, it's mine. If you're doing or building something and you put it down, it's automatically mine. If it's mine, it must never appear to be yours in any way. If it's broken, it's yours. If it's broken, where's mine? Okay, so this helps you understand what toddlers are thinking. It's normal. They are going through the stage of autonomy. They're egocentric. It's normal for them to be like that. They're not being rude. They're not being naughty. They're not snatching. They're not sharing, because this is what's developmentally normal for them. Okay, and it's normal for toddlers too. Workbook, golden star, everyone. So it's normal for them to cry to communicate, explode with energy, explode with frustration, repeat things. So we know if toddlers are repeating something constantly, that's a particular skill that they're trying to learn. They're trying to master that skill. If we're interrupting them because they're running back and forth outside, of course, not in the classroom, or they're constantly pinning something, or they're drawing nonstop, I'm like, oh, that's enough now. Time for the next activity. I need to take a photo for my daily learning story, and, moving right along, it's somebody else's turn. You're actually interrupting their learning. So it's really important that we're aware of that. They might dawdle. They might be slow. Young children are slow. They don't operate on adult level. So if we're constantly rushing them and they're taking in the world around them, they're taking in whatever it is that's going on, they're observing their surroundings, and we're just rushing them along, we're actually doing them a disservice. And then we wonder why they're not cooperating. Well, actually, they were in the middle of staring at the leaf because there was a spider on it, which you didn't notice, because you're an adult and you're thinking about going inside and I need to get 20 kids inside right now and this child's not listening to me. But actually that child is totally engrossed in the spider and the spider web that you missed because you weren't present in that moment. Okay? And these are the things that we need to notice in children. Let them bring you back into the present moment. Don't operate up here when they're operating down here. We need to learn how to communicate with each other. Lose control of themselves. Like I said, it's not developmentally appropriate. They don't know how to deal with emotions. If they get angry, frustrated, they'll just start, screaming, crying, throwing things, biting, because they don't have the skill set. Nobody taught them. What do I do when I feel sad? What do I do when I feel angry? What do I do when I feel upset? Nobody taught them. Their parents didn't teach them, because parents are unaware of the fact that children can't cope with emotions most of the time. They think that a child should be able to deal with it. Why are they acting like that? Why did they just have a tantrum? Oh my God, I'm going crazy, because no one understands what's happening in their child's brain development. Okay, and that's where we come in. We teach families, we teach parents what that looks like and what we can do to help support children. They can be contrary, so they can change their mind. Oh, I want the blue cup. No, I want the red cup. Oh no, I don't like the blue cup today. Oh, but yesterday you loved it. No, not today. I'm not interested in banana today, but you loved it yesterday. That kind of thing. Normal. They can change moods. They can act fearful, so they could be quite scared about particular things. Powerful, it's all about me. Separation anxiety, like we spoke about. So I want you guys to know that it is very normal for all these things to occur. Shift our thinking. So in this bottom bit, we need to shift our thinking. We're going to write down, why do they keep doing that? Okay, what's going on? Why do they keep doing that? Why are they hitting their friends constantly? Why are they not listening to me? Okay, all of these things are not helpful, not to you and not to the child. What we need to do is ask, how can I support them? What are they trying to communicate? What are they struggling with? What's going on for that child? What are they trying to say to their friend? Whatever it is, we need to shift away from, oh my gosh, no one's listening to me. I know that's really hard. But it's also about, understanding that all of these things are developmentally normal and children need us as the adult to co-regulate and support them. When we understand that, then we can implement all the skills that we're going to learn. Okay, so engaging cooperation. Offer a choice. The first skill that we're going to write down, understand, under a child needs freedom within limits, so under that skill is offer a choice, okay? This is the main skill that we're going to learn, but we're going to learn about 50 other ones as well at the same time. So the first thing we're going to talk about is offering a choice, okay? In any moment where a child is not cooperating with you, we acknowledge their feelings. So always number one, we acknowledge their feelings. We state what we have to, and then we're going to offer a choice. So it's not a choice about doing something or not, okay? It's not a choice about, oh, you can choose to put your shoes on or not to go outside. We take off shoes inside. So to go outside, they need to put their shoes on. It's which foot first, left or right, you choose. Would you like to do it yourself, or would you like me to help you? You choose. Would you like your friend to do it for you, or would you like to do it yourself? You choose, right? So the choice is not on what to do, it's on how to do it. Would you like to pick up this one first or this one? This color first or this one to pack away toys? Whatever it is, choices allow children to feel like they are in control, okay? Young children, you got to imagine this. Imagine being a young child in your family at home, always being told what to do all the time, okay? They have to listen, they have to follow instructions. They are never given the ability to make a choice. Some of these kids will just stand there and like wait for you to feed them, wait for you to put their shoes on, right? And they're just like frozen. Why? Because at home, everything is being done to them. They don't have the skill of independence. They've been told that they just need to listen and do as they're told, or culturally, the parents will do everything for them because that's what they feel is the right thing for to raise their child, which is okay. But then they come into our settings and they don't know how to kind of be independent or make choices. So we really have to encourage that. Now, all these next skills that I'm going to go through are all skills on how to engage cooperation, and you might want to write them down in your notes section, okay? Number one, don't say don't, okay? Never tell a child what not to do, because what are they going to do? They're going to do it anyway because their brain cannot hear the word don't. So we have to tell them what they can do, okay? So instead of saying, don't climb the chair, you can say, you can climb the slide outside or whatever else they can climb if you have something inside that they can climb, okay? The chair's not for climbing. What did I do there? I told them the chair's not for climbing, but I was speaking about the chair, okay? This is the difference in language. I'm talking about the object. I'm not talking about the person. Don't climb the chair is personal. If someone said to me, Sylvia, don't sit there. I'll be like, oh, what do you mean don't sit there? I want to sit there. What do you mean? If someone tells me this chair's not for sitting on, oh, okay, that chair's not for sitting on, it must be broken. It must be something's wrong with it, right? My brain doesn't automatically go into this defense mode, okay? I'm taking information in. So always give information, okay? The chair's not for climbing on, we can climb the slide or this instead, right? I've offered a choice. Whatever it is that don't run inside, oh my God, the child's going to keep running, nonstop. We'll get to running later on. But yeah, it's about really not you taking that word out of your vocabulary and telling them what they can do. You really want to run. You can run outside. You just need some time to move. This space isn't this space. We walk inside, right? Tell them what they can do. Walking inside. And then if a child's trying to like run around the classroom and run away from you, I would firmly stand my ground. Don't ever chase a child. It's never going to go anywhere. If it's an unsafe situation, I would get them to a point where I've held my hands. I'm not grabbing onto the child. I'm not, but I'm literally putting my arms out around them to let them know, walking inside and I'm firm. Okay, walking inside, I'm firm, I'm confident in myself. The next one is believe in yourself. If I say walking inside and in my head I'm like, oh my God, this child is going to keep running, they're not going to listen to me, they're going to keep running and they're not going to listen to you, yeah? That self-belief that we have internally is so important for a child to do then what it is that we're requesting to do, okay? And being firm, yet kind, again, really important with your tone, okay? With the tone that we have, we need to let them know that, hey, I'm in charge. but I'm not going to be authoritarian, which means I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just letting you know that I'm the one here that is going to help guide you and support you. Okay? That's the difference. Did you have a question or did I answer it?
No, I just had like an example. Like
Yes.
an example last night. My son he's 17 months, and
Yep.
he was throwing his fork on the floor.
Yes.
And he does it constantly because he thinks it's hilarious.
Yep.
My husband was like, don't do that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, can't tell him don't. He's not naughty or anything. It's like, let's use it to eat. So like trying to change it. If you say don't, he's going to keep doing it.
Yes.
So if you tell him what he can do, then he'll more likely do it.
Yeah. So there was an example just in the room from a 17-month-old who was throwing the fork on the floor constantly. Now we know that a baby who's throwing off the side thinks it's hilarious, okay? They want to get a reaction from parents, especially if it's a parent. It's a problem solving, right? It's like reacting, cause and effect. What's happening every time I do that? Oh, I can see you really love throwing that fork. The fork stays on your tray, or you can give it to me if you're finished. You choose. Great, amazing. And what did your baby decide to do? He gave her the fork, okay? So these skills work. It's not, I'm not making it up. It's things that actually work and really help babies. And then she will know that, hey, my baby's really interested in cause and effect and object permanence, whatever it is. Let me set up an activity. Oh, I can see you really want to keep throwing. Let's do this throwing activity with the ball in the, in the cardboard box or whatever it is that they want to do. It's showing you the child's interests, yeah? So great. And yeah, husbands are really hard to get on board. I often do a lot of the mums have asked me to do a parent night where it's inviting all the dads along so they can ask questions and we can have these conversations because some of them are not aware of, communication or child development, especially if we are in the sector and they're not. So yeah, good on you for modeling. I think modeling is one of my skills, but always model, for people, especially if you are a parent at home. Be mindful of your body language. Again, you don't want children to be fearful of you, the pointing, oh, don't do that, no, come here. And, it's really, I wouldn't like it if someone did that to me. So think about you as an adult. What would you prefer on how someone communicated with you? And that's exactly the way you should be communicating with children. Using a timer. We found the biggest fight that kids would have, and the biggest outbreak was about a bike. We have like 10 blue bikes and 1 orange bike. Everyone thinks the orange bike is faster. Of course, the orange bike is faster because it's orange and it's the only one. So there's always a fight before we go outside about who's going to have the orange bike, okay? And so we were like, oh my gosh, this can't be happening every time we go outside, that everyone's fighting, pushing, who's going to stand in line first, because they need to get the orange bike. So what we did was we implemented a kitchen timer, with a timer with the little red thing so they can see 5 minutes. And what I said was, I know the orange bike is so fast. Everyone wants a turn of the orange bike. Don't worry. So I acknowledged them. Second thing I'm doing, stating, don't worry, everyone's going to have a turn. Here's a kitchen timer. We're going to put it on for 5 minutes. As soon as it's this person's turn. And we wrote a list. We literally wrote a list of all the kids' names. Even if they can't read, they'll say, oh, Miss Sylvia, where's my name? Am I next, right? And we would let that person know who's riding the bike, who the next person was. And the rest of the kids would stand there like this at the kitchen timer, just literally, like not even playing with anything else. Half of them are just standing there waiting. And then that person would get off the bike and give it to the next person. So this is how you avoid conflict when there's a particular thing that you see constantly coming up. Such a small thing, and it works for so many different scenarios. Give them plenty of warning. So 3 times. Always. Children need warning. They need time to process. They can't just move from one thing to another so quickly. They can't developmentally do that. So our expectation of getting them to move along from something to another thing and then wondering why they're not cooperating, it's because they developmentally don't have the ability to do that. So it's so important that we understand, okay, after this activity, we've got one more game, one more slide, one more whatever, then it's time to go inside. Oh, one more slide, and they don't know time. They don't know 5 minutes, I once said to a child, oh, we've got 5 minutes until this. About 10 seconds later, he comes up to me. He goes, Miss Sylvia, has it been 5 minutes? And then it clicked. Oh my gosh, he doesn't know what 5 minutes is. Let me indicate what that looks like. So I said, oh, in 5 minutes, you can do 3 puzzles or, 2 puzzles and we can read 1 book. or I put the sand timer on or the kitchen timer on. So the next thing is when and then, okay? This is a great skill. When you pack away your lunchbox, then we can go outside. When you've done this, then it's time for this. When you pack away this activity, then we can choose a different activity. Okay, it's a nice way of saying once this is completed, then we can move on to this thing. So when and then is a good linguistic tool. The rule is, I didn't write it down there, but the rule is we walk inside. The rule is the tables are not for climbing. It's a very impersonal statement that tells children what the rules are in the classroom. So that's a good one as well. Visual schedules, okay? So children who struggle with knowing what sense of order is, okay? Oh, we need to do this first. Then how many times have you guys repeated yourselves? We need to put sunscreen on, we need to put our hats on, we need to take our drink bottles outside. Like, it's like repeat, right? Why are you going to keep repeating yourselves when you can literally have a beautiful visual schedule, shoes, hat, and as soon as a child comes up to you, and visually they can see, and it works for young children too because they understand what the steps are. So instead of repeating yourselves and thinking, oh my God, how many times have I told this kid, why aren't they cooperating? Make it easy for yourself, make it easy for them. Implement a visual schedule. Make it a game. Kids love games. Sometimes we forget how to play games with kids because we're so focused on, I need to get all these kids inside, we need to do this activity, I need to take photos, I need to write down, I need to do the daily da 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 da. And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm just forgetting how to play and have fun and be a kid. You know, I always have games with my kids to whatever, go inside or you know, whether it's stomping like a dinosaur or who can show me how they, do the dinosaur, whatever they're interested in, right? Some kids love airplanes. Some kids love, can you fly like an airplane to the door? Let's all fly like an airplane to the door. You'll have like 10 airplanes like chasing you, to the door. So these things, like sometimes we forget how to make it a game or have fun with it. That's something that's really going to get a child to cooperate with you. Okay, so then some people say, oh, but Sylvia, what if they don't choose? What if they don't choose? Offer a choice, or last resort, I put last resort, choose for them, okay? If a child is really struggling and they have to do something, right? Because there are moments where we're like, okay, like everyone's leaving, like we have to do this right now. I can see it's really hard for you right now to choose. What did I do? Acknowledge feelings, right? It's time to go outside, whatever it is, right? That we don't force children to go outside, but I'm just using that as an example. It's time for this. You choose, or I'm going to have to choose for you, okay? Respectfully, you're letting that child know that I'm giving you this opportunity to make a decision, make a choice, but if you don't choose, I'm going to have to step in and choose for you, okay? And then when you do have to do it for them, it's like, you've chosen for me to do this. Next time, if you'd like, you can make a choice for yourself. Quickly, that child will end up choosing because they don't want that thing to then not, to happen to them or whatever it is that they need to do. So that's a last resort. There are so many other skills that I've shared with you today that you can try before that, but just in case, we do have moments where we do need to step in and make a choice for a child. Okay, sharing. I love this topic. So, what stage of play do you think sharing can start to occur? Anyone have any idea? 1, solitary play. In the chat, guys, you can click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Solitary play, so we know babies are just doing their own thing. Onlooker play, they're starting to watch each other, looking at what everyone else is doing. Parallel play, they're playing, beside each other. They're not really, engaged with each other yet. 2.5, 3, they start becoming a social being. They become associative play. So at that stage, they're kind of doing things together, kind of not. Cooperative play is when they're all about that social play. At what stage do you guys think? You can shout it out. Chat people, let's see. 3, 4. 4. Yep. Okay. Yeah, so we've had a lot of, number 4, number 5, so associative play and cooperative play, exactly. So when a child becomes more of that social being, they start to understand, oh, I want to use these things. So, yeah, you can use some things with me too, you can play with me too, but sometimes, oh, I'm not ready yet, I'm not ready to let go of that, and then halfway through they change their mind. Oh, actually, no, that's mine. How many times have you had kids playing together? They're playing so nicely together, and then all of a sudden, halfway through, they're like, oh my gosh, no. But that's mine. I had it first, okay? Yeah, and exactly. And that's because they haven't yet reached that stage of socialization and social being and cooperation. And it takes time to develop that. So how do we do this in a Montessori way? And that scenario we'll go through a little bit later on, scenario 2, because we might not have time to go through that. But if we do, we'll go through it at the end. We'll come back to that because I'm mindful of the time. Okay, so in a Montessori way, how can we teach them about sharing or turn taking? Okay, there's a difference between sharing and turn taking. Sharing doesn't developmentally happen until a child is ready for school. So 7 years old, scientifically, a child can be like, you can use these as well as me and I have no issue and nothing's going to happen and we can all use it together collaboratively. Okay, so in the early years, babies, toddlers, preschoolers, we really need to teach them how to turn take, because that's the same skills as sharing. I want them to be kind to each other. I want them to give things to each other. You know, they want to, if they can play with each other, that's great. We can encourage that. But how do we do it so that it's developmentally appropriate and we're encouraging turn taking? So grace and courtesy, okay? Firstly, we have to identify, is that work individual work or is it communal? Meaning, have they selected a Montessori activity that is individual to them and we need to respect that? Or is it a communal thing, theme-based, project-based, whatever it is that you guys do in your center, like a group activity where they can actually ask if they can be involved, okay? The second thing we need to do is describe or ask. So if it is an individual work, we need to say, oh, such and such isn't finished with that yet. As soon as he finishes, you can have a turn. What would you like to do while you wait? Would you like to do a puzzle or a book? Or would you like to sit and, sometimes when I give children a choice to sit and watch, they'll literally just sit there and watch until that child is finished. Oh yeah, I'm happy to watch, you know. So ask them. If it's a communal thing and it's an activity that we know that it's okay if they ask, they need to ask before entering. Can I please play with you? Excuse me, you look busy, but may I have a turn when you're finished with that? And as soon as you give that child who's using that activity the option to when you ask them, 99% of the time, they either stop and give it to that child straight away, or as soon as they finish, they'll hand it over, okay? So never force a child to share. It's not Montessori aligned and it's not aligned with where they're at developmentally, okay? We can teach them how to be kind, how to be caring, how to, you know, be collaborative with these skills. So observation is valued. So children learn by watching and waiting for a turn. Model how to observe. So sometimes if I'm not needed anywhere else, I will literally just sit next to a child and watch. Wait until they might ask me to step in. They might just be happy with me watching. A child might come over and sit next to me and I'll say, oh, he looks so busy with that work. Like, you know, he's really engaged with that. Are you happy watching with me, or would you like to choose something and we can play together? Whatever it is, that's an opportunity for learning. Returning the work to shelf so somebody else can use it, okay? So completing that work cycle, that's really important. We need to be consistent with that. So again, as soon as you're finished with that, it's time to put it back on the shelf so our friends can then have a turn. That's care for the environment, care for others. That's what we mean by sharing versus turn taking. Okay, so acknowledging feelings, putting the child in charge. As soon as you're finished with that, please pass it over to your friend. They're waiting for you. Offer a choice of what they can do. Praise by describing the effect. Thank you so much for giving that activity to your friend. They're really happy that they can have a turn now. So you're encouraging that behavior. Role play, teaching them, you know, what that looks like in a little role play, giving them information. Try problem solving. So sometimes, oh, you really just want to use that work. This person's using it. What can we do about it if they're older? Give that opportunity to the child to come up with a solution, to work with you. That's a learning opportunity. Give them opportunities to practice turn taking and then model for younger children. We have to act on their behalf, okay? Young babies and toddlers, especially toddlers, really struggle because everything's about them to share or turn take or anything. So we have to model on their behalf. You just want that toy right now. They're grabbing, you two children are grabbing, you know, the little toddlers are pulling off each other. You know, you really just want, it's this person's work, you know, we can do this or this instead. So it's really important to do that. Okay, so Now we're going to go on to building self-discipline, okay? So we're going to talk about building self-discipline. This is the last module that we're going to cover today, and I'm going to try and do it in 20 minutes so that we have 10 minutes for Q&A. And then we might play some games if Stella lets me, or have a lunch break, whatever you guys want to do. But I'm happy to hang out and do a few things afterwards. Okay, so when a person is drowning, it's not the time to give them a swimming lesson. I love this quote, because when kids are drowning in their emotions, it is not the time to teach them a lesson, okay? And then where did we get this crazy idea that in order to make children do better, we have to make them feel worse, okay? So it's like, you know, you shouldn't be hitting. Why did you do that? Your friends, oh, look at them crying, la, la, la. We're putting children down for struggling. Yeah, that poor child has no idea how to cope, and we are literally sometimes making them feel worse about it, okay? That's not how we're going to help children. So, of course, to meet a child's emotional needs, we need to meet our own, okay? We can't pour from an empty cup. We've heard this time and time again. Think of a strategy on how to cope when you feel frustrated, angry, before you start dealing with that child's behavior. For me, it's about taking a deep breath. I can walk away. Sometimes I take a sip of water. I count to 3. Whatever it is that I need to do, I might tell my colleague, oh, I just need a minute. Can you step in? And I'm going to come back. Because we need to make sure that we're ready mentally to be in that state. And sometimes that situation can be so heightened. A child has literally been hitting you or kicking you, and you feel really flustered. Somebody needs to come in and step in for you so that you know what to do in that situation. So think about a strategy. I'll give you like 30 seconds. Online people, you can do that too. It could be thinking of snow. Sometimes things, I know we don't really think of snow in those moments, but like, you know, it could be, for me, the easiest thing is taking a deep breath, you know, having a sip of water, letting children know how you feel. It's so frustrating. I'm going to keep my body safe and walk away, like try and step back from the situation, things like that. You're only going to know what strategy works for you when you constantly start practicing it, okay? It could be even just walking into the classroom and thinking, these children need me. I'm here for them today. It could be an affirmation that you say to yourself, you know, I need to be present. These kids need me. We have the best job in the world. Like, these children seriously give us so much love, presence, you know, attention. They just, and when we understand that and we're intentional about stepping into that space, a world of magic will happen. So just think of a strategy that's going to work for you. Okay, moving right along. Okay, so discipline. Discipline says, I'll teach you how to do it right, whereas punishment says, I'll regret you doing it wrong. Okay, so we know that a child needs freedom within limits. So what does discipline look like in Montessori? Things to avoid. We know timeouts don't exist, especially not in early childhood settings. We're going to talk about time-ins. So 2 things to avoid, timeouts, we're going to write that here. And the second thing is negative language. Now the language is on the next page, guys. So the next page has the stars, words or phrases that should be avoided, okay? Naughty, bad boy or girl, why did you do that? That's not nice. Right now, hurry up, okay? These are some things that sometimes we might just slip out of our mouth. We could be a parent. We could be, you know, just not really conscious in that moment. These are the things that we need to avoid when dealing with children's discipline. The reason why is because these things just make children feel a lot worse about the situation. They're not being naughty. We know developmentally that they're just trying to learn something. They're just trying to communicate with us. They're not bad. No kids are bad. There's no such thing as a bad kid. There's only such thing as a bad environment or bad adults that are in their space or bad experiences or trauma that the child has gone through, okay? Why did you do that? The child doesn't know why they did that. Like, it's almost a rhetorical question. They don't know. They struggle. It's the only way they knew how to respond in that moment. So there's no point asking that. It's just going to make someone feel worse. That's not nice. Well, obviously it's not nice. They didn't do it on purpose. So, you know, and then right now, hurry up. You know, kids operate on a lot lower level than we do. We have to be mindful of the way we communicate with them. Great. The next thing I'm going to talk about, obviously, I touched on this point last session, but I just want to make sure that everyone understands where we're at. So sometimes cultural context and biases, we might be from a cultural context and stuff that these are normal. We know better in early childhood that these things are insensitive and we should not be doing it. Kissing a child without consent, shouting at them, grabbing them. So even if you think you're being gentle and holding a child down, or pulling them along, it's something that we really need to talk about, and we can discuss in more detail about how to do that in an appropriate way, because I wouldn't like it if somebody grabbed my arm and dragged me along, okay? Unless we're talking about a safety situation and we're literally kind of almost holding space for a child so that they don't hit someone else or they don't throw something at someone else, that is a safety thing, okay? That's a totally different thing to what we're talking about. Smacking and hitting, obviously, and forcing a child to do something. So sometimes we think that it's okay to force children to sit at group time, but emotionally or socially, they're not ready and they don't want to do that. So that's something that we have to be mindful of. Levels of fighting. So there are 4 levels of fighting that I want you guys to be aware of, okay? And when do we step in? Because guess what? We've got 20 other kids that are in the room. We can't always be there for the kids that are having an argument or bickering or fighting or whatever it is, okay? So level 1, bickering. They're just having a little moment. Oh no, I want to use that horse. No, I want to use that horse. Great, we figured out who wants to use the horse. No one needs to step in, okay? Level 1, we're allowing children to build their skills in that moment. Level 2, the situation's escalating a little bit, okay? So we're going to acknowledge the children's feelings, reflect their views. So acknowledge their feelings. Oh, I can see 2 children really want to use the same horse right now. You look like you were holding it first. You've got the brown horse in your hand and you really want it, right? I'm just letting them know. Describe the problem with respect, which I just did. I described it. And then express confidence. So for older children, you can say, I think you guys can figure out who's going to use the horse first, right? So what did I do in that situation? I made the children feel that I have confidence in them, right? To be able to make a decision or to help each other or to negotiate. So these are really important moments that actually, if they are having a little argument and it's not really, it's not really a big deal, and they can figure it out, that it's actually a great learning opportunity. We come to level 3. The situation is possibly dangerous. Inquire, okay? Don't just assume. I can hear everyone's really frustrated right here. Is there anything I can do to help? Okay, so you've just let the children know that you're there and you can hear what's happening. I can see that you're just about to hit your friend. What can I do to help? And you literally just step in the way, okay? And then respecting feelings. So that I meant respect your feelings as in respecting the children's feelings towards each other. You're both really upset, whatever it is, you might have to step in and try and negotiate that topic, okay, whatever it is that's going on. And I'll get to a specific example in my next slide, so don't worry. This is just so that you understand how to identify when you should step in and when you shouldn't step in, okay? Level 4 is definitely a dangerous situation and you need to intervene. This is when children are being physical with each other, biting, hitting, throwing, all that kind of stuff. Describe what you see, okay? You're really angry, the toy's not for throwing. Or say someone's hitting each other. You're really angry, hands on your own body. First thing I'll tell a child. Hands on your own body, okay? Or I'll stand in the middle and I'll say, I'm just gonna keep you guys safe. Okay? I'm using my body to keep you safe. Address the most distressed child, whoever's the most upset in that moment. You're really upset, they hit you, oh, ouch, that really hurts. Okay, it's not the time to question why the other person did it. Don't worry about that now, you can deal with that later. It's really about understanding how we can calm the situation and then we can problem solve, okay? So then we'll deal when things are calm and then we can problem solve. So I'll talk about how to do that in the next slide. But it's really important that we address the most distressed child first and then to the other child. You just really wanted that toy, or, oh, you're so disappointed that they knocked over your tower, whatever it is. The other thing I advise you all, don't assume you know what happened if you didn't see it. okay? Because a lot of the time we think, oh my God, it's that child. They hit that person first. That's why this situation escalated, but it might not necessarily be the case, okay? Someone might have triggered that child to do something, okay? So we don't want to assume. That's why I say describe what you see. I can see two really upset children. You both want to use this right now. Oh my gosh, there's a tower that's knocked over, you know, that kind of thing. So just describe what you see. Don't try and figure out who did what or blame anything, okay? So then what we're going to do is we're going to go through an example for you. So on the next page, I've got there biting, hitting, and throwing. Okay, so this is going to be one of the examples that we're going to go through together as a group so that we understand how to respond to these situations. And like I said before, your policies and procedures document is going to have all of this language, the steps, everything, how to respond, all in detail so that you guys feel really confident about how to manage these situations. So the first thing that we did today, acknowledge feelings and connect, right? You're really upset. You look so frustrated, whatever it is. Number 2, and this is going to be in your skills section down here. Number 2 is state your expectations. Okay, we didn't go through that yet, but I'm going to go through it now with you. This toy is not for throwing. People are not for biting. Hands on your own body. Whatever the expectation is, we need to state it in an objective way that's not blaming children, okay? So instead of saying, you know, don't throw that toy and why are you throwing, and you know, people like, no, your friends, oh, that's not nice. You shouldn't be biting your friends. Any of that wording we need to change to stating our expectations firmly, but objectively as well, okay? So this toy is not for throwing, people are not for biting, hands on your own body, whatever it is. Then we offer a choice. We need to teach children how to cope when they're feeling a certain way by giving them the skill set on what to do instead. Okay, we got to rewire their brain. That's all we're doing. We're helping them understand, how do I feel? What can I do about it? And how can I cope in a healthy way, right? So the thing is, you can throw this beanbag or this one, you choose, right? If they really need to throw something. You can say, stop, I need space. If, for example, we had a child that was constantly biting when anyone came around them because they needed space, okay? We understood that through observation. Or stomp your feet, show me how angry you are, squeeze a pillow, whatever it is that is going to physically help them to cope with their emotions, we need to give them an outlet for that. Okay, it's really important for them to have skills on how to cope, how to be angry in a way that they can physically get it out. I'll tell you a story. We had this one boy who was really upset about a particular toy that he wanted to use and he couldn't use because somebody else was using it. So he went on a little bit of a rampage and started grabbing everything and throwing it. And of course, in Montessori, many of our things are wooden toys. So it was dangerous. And I said to him, you're really angry. Toys are not for throwing. I'm just going to keep you in this space to keep you safe. And all I did was I just guided him and he was upset. He was hitting me in the meantime. I didn't take it personally. And then he saw whatever, he was looking for something to throw, right? Because he was raging. Grabbed a shoe and started throwing the shoe. And in my head, I was like, oh, great, I can turn this into a game. So I grabbed a shoe and it was in the cubby area. So he was grabbing the shoe and throwing it. And I thought, oh, let me throw and see if I can get it into the cubby, right? Throwing, and I'm throwing the shoe into the cubby. And I'm like, oh, look, I got it in the cubby, right? And I'm helping him to process his anger in a way that's controlled and safe. It's a shoe into a cubby, turned into a game, and he started to calm down, right? And it became a game for him, but he started to process those emotions. So it's about how can we really help children in those moments to calm by co-regulating. They rely on us. We need to help them with that. So it could be, you know, squeezing a pillow, throwing bean bags is a good one. Onto a target, into a basket, whatever it is in our time in corner. I'm just going to see on the next slide if I have a picture of the time in corner. Oh yeah. So this is the area that we have for children. Okay, it's got a little swing chair, it's got some sensory bottles, we've got some pillows, some things to squeeze, bean bags in the corner, which you can't see, that they can throw into a little target if they're feeling angry. Things to draw, whatever it is that will help them in that situation, that's what we have. We've tailored this area to be part of the classroom. It's not a space where people go just to deal with their emotions or that we send them there. Children actually will go there when they're feeling angry. Miss Sylvia, I'm so upset, or I'm so angry. I'm so frustrated right now. And then you'll see them storm off into the corner and just sit there, and then pick up something if they need it, because we've taught them how to do that. Okay, we've helped them deal in those times where they have these big emotions. We've taught them how to cope. And this just becomes part of this space. So we probably won't have time to draw a calming corner, but I'd love to do that activity with you guys later all together. Just being there for them. So in that space where it says the skill, I want you guys to write down, state your expectations firmly yet kindly. Remain neutral, describe what you see. Okay, I've explained that before. Just write it down for your own benefit. Just being there for them. So sometimes we just need to be there for kids when they're going through their moment, okay? We don't have to find a solution. They're having a tantrum, your toddler's having a tantrum, you've acknowledged their feelings. You tell them, I'm here for you. I'm just gonna sit here, I'm here for you if you need me, right? Sometimes we just have to ride the wave, and you see children's emotions. They're angry, they get sad, and then they calm down, okay? So sometimes we just need to allow them to be in that moment, but let them know that we're there for them. There's a difference, right? There's a difference when a toddler's having a tantrum and we just ignore them. Oh, here we go again, I'm just gonna ignore that. Or we get down to their level and say, you're really struggling right now, you're having a hard time, I'm here for you. If we need to put a pillow under their head, there are some kids that bang their head when they're feeling upset. We need to make sure we keep them safe. I'm just going to put a pillow here. I'm just going to use my body to keep you safe. Whatever you need to do, right? In that moment, but let them know what you're doing. And then natural consequences. I can see all these toys right here, right? That need packing away. When you're ready, we can do, you can do the yellow ones or whatever, or I can do these ones and you choose this one. Whatever it is that you're going to give them a choice on how to do it. The other thing with natural consequences is if they can't use equipment or toys respectfully, then they'll have to take a break from those toys, okay? I can see you're really having a hard time with this activity. It's not for throwing, firm but kind. I didn't yell at them. It's not for throwing. I'm gonna have to pack that away. You can choose a book or come and sit with me and we can do something together. Would you like Play-Doh or whatever it is, okay? Get them something to kind of calm. Sensory is a great way for children to calm down with sensory things. I'm going to quickly go through the next slide and I'm almost done. We'll do a situation. I wanted to play a game of situation charades to act like a child. So we were going to get in groups of 3, 2 people act like children, the educator, and we'll workshop that. So we might stay back and do that quickly. I do love playing games. We're in early childhood. If it's not fun, then, why are we doing it? This last slide is to support neurodiverse children. Everything I spoke about today can be applicable for all children, okay? There's no reason why we can't use any of the skills that we've learnt today for all children. However, these are some things that I've seen that really help when children do need that additional support, okay? Routine is key. We know that all children thrive on routine. When we have a particular routine and we follow that, it keeps children safe and secure. They feel they know what's coming up. They can feel a lot more confident in the space. They know what's going on. Having that visual routine is also really, really helpful to get children along, especially when children struggle with transitions, okay? For the children that struggle with transitions the most, you really need to have a visual communication as to what's happening. Okay, we had one child that was diagnosed with autism, low functioning, and they would get really upset because they wanted to go home. Okay, so all day it was, I want to go home, I want to go. Oh, they wouldn't even say it. It was just like they were indicating to the door that they wanted to leave. So, and they didn't know the concept of time. So it was really important to understand how could we communicate with that child in a visual way to let them know. Number 2, identify and observe triggers. Particularly with children who are neurodiverse and all children, we need to identify what is triggering that behavior. What is going on for that child? It's constant, right? We're seeing the constant hitting 5 times a day. What is happening before and after that moment? We talked about that in session 1, using observation to understand how we can support that child. As soon as you understand and observe that trigger, you can be proactive about the behavior. So you actually stop it from happening before it happens. Today, we've spoken about being reactive, meaning what can I do and say when children are, when it's going on. The next session, we're going to talk about being proactive so that we can actually do things in our everyday practice that will actually support children's behavior, which will actually lower the times that all of this stuff is happening. Teach alternate behaviors. Again, like I said, throwing beanbags, stomping feet, tearing paper. So I saw a child really being aggressive and, needing that physical outlet. So tearing paper really worked for them. Oh, they wanted to tear books, right? Of course, they're going to pick up books and chuck them all off the library because that's the most satisfying in that moment. They need a sensory outlet. Get them to tear paper. Oh, I can see you just need to tear. Here's some paper. Let's tear it together and model in front of them. Especially for children who are non-verbal, it's a great way to get them to take out that emotion in a healthy way so that these children become adults and teenagers that know how to deal with their emotions. Yeah. Half of us were never taught. I was never taught growing up. It's not culturally appropriate. I was never allowed to feel angry, jealous of my sister. God forbid. We didn't listen to our parents when we were, when people were over and, saying hello and getting a kiss from auntie and, whatever it is. We grew up that way, but we became adults that were struggling to cope with our own emotions. So these are skills that are so essential for young children. Use communication tools for nonverbal children. We spoke about that. Sensory diet. Okay, we talk about a sensory diet. This means that in your environment, you have all different types of sensory input for that child, whether it's things to squeeze, whether it's things to shake, whether it's things to step on, different things they can step on and get that kind of sensory outlet out. Play-Doh. You need to have that rich sensory diet in their environment. Things to swing on. If you see children that are quite physically unsettled, okay, always going around the room and not really knowing what to do, running around all the time and you can't go outside, you need to make sure that you have something in your setting. Talk to management, see if you can get a swing put in, make sure the environment is prepared for that particular child, okay? Adjust your environment, of course. Calm, remove any triggers. So if you see that things are really busy, things are hung up all over the wall, children are really struggling, it's too overstimulating for them, that's not going to help you create a calm environment, okay? We don't need to display 100 paintings of children in the doorway because parents need to see it. We can do it in a way that supports children's needs as well as meeting the needs of families by having portfolios or whatever it is that we do, okay? Sensory baskets to calm down, we spoke about that. Seek professional guidance, so collaborate with parents, with support workers, with OTs. I usually have conversations with their OT, with their speech therapist. What are you guys doing in your practice that we can also do? Because sometimes when we do that for 5 minutes with the child before they even start their day, you'll actually see a sense of calm and a totally different space for that particular child. Prepare them for transitions. Like I said, you need to make sure that we prepare children for transitions and then mimic that behavior. So sometimes when children are really struggling and they're having a bit of a tantrum and they can't communicate with you, I mimic what they're doing because that's my way of connecting with the child, okay? So I might be, raising my arms and looking really angry because that's that way that the child will then connect with me. And then once I have that connection, then you can actually help them calm down. So it's about understanding who that child is, what's going to work for them, and you only know what's going to be working for them the most. So all of these things are tools to help you guys support children in your care. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to talk about is just some tips that I have. Oh yeah, here we go. I mentioned the rule is. So there's a little box at the end of your... So those were the strategies. Oh, did I not put a little star there? Probably not. Okay. Did you guys want to take a photo or did you write them down in your strategies? I hope you did. Okay, cool. Great. You guys are so independent. That's great. I forgot to put the golden star, but that's fine. Okay, so the rule is, so the last little box here, educator tips for everyone online. The rule is, I spoke about that before, so that's a really good one to use with your kids. Don't take it personally. When that child is aggressive towards you, don't take it personally. It's not about you. The child is having a hard time. They're not giving you a hard time, okay? Remember that. They're having a hard time. They're not giving you a hard time. Be firm and direct, okay? Never let your emotion get in the way. We can be firm yet kind. It's not about being angry or letting your own emotions be in the tone of what you're saying. If you can't in that moment, get someone to come and take over, because it's better for you to step away than yell or shout at a child. Burn off the energy. When the energy is really intense in the room and there's so much going on, get outside. You know, let the children connect with nature, get them outside, let them run around. You know, that is the way to really help calm that situation and let children, you know, burn off their energy a little bit and feel a lot more that they're ready to come back into a work cycle. So keep an eye out for those things. Don't force children to do things. We've spoken about that. Put the child's interests first. If there is a learning opportunity or something that you need to do for the day or that you've planned for, and the child is not cooperating, Montessori teaches us that children's interests are always first, okay? We need to understand their interests and we need to make sure that we're putting the learning in that particular interest, okay? So they always come first and we work towards that. And then, of course, work as a team. I can't stress this enough. The most stressful thing is when you go to work and you feel totally unsupported by your team, or you feel like you're the only one who's trying or doing something. And I really feel for you, because it's so hard to work as a team or try and get people on board when you feel a particular way about something. So in the first session, I spoke about different strategies or how to have those conversations, understanding what kind of personality you are so that you can then communicate with your peers, because really the success of the child, the outcomes for that child is dependent on how you guys operate as a team. That child will know who they can push boundaries with and who they can't. And I had a lovely educator come up to me after a conference and she said, Sylvia, I don't know why, but anytime anyone else tells that child to do something, they listen to them. But me, they just run away and they told me, I hate you. She goes, I don't know what to do. And I said, that is an indication that you need to try so hard to build a connection with that child. They are only saying that because they feel insecure. They don't feel secure with you. And I said that in a nice way, respectful. She's only a new educator to the space. She doesn't have a lot of experience. And I said, don't take it personally. It's not a reflection on you as a person, but that child is telling you that you need to spend more time with them and connect with them. Okay? So that's what this is all about. And I think that concludes, last quote here, within the child lies the fate of our future. I strongly believe that we can change the future outcomes of our next generation, one child, one adult at a time. Thank you. Right on time. If anyone has any questions, they can feel free. If you do think about something after the fact, I will be coming back for another session anyway. So you're welcome to go away, implement some of these strategies, figure out what's working for you, what's not, come back to me and say, this is a scenario, this is what we did, that's what worked, that's what didn't work. Remember, you are all getting access to the policies and procedures document. I've gone through that with a fine-tooth comb. There's language in there. There's about 10 other steps to what we just discussed today. So step 1, 2, 3, we have about 10 steps. If this happens, you can do this. If this happens, you do that. You know, so it's very comprehensive. You guys will take some time to go through all those documents, and that will be a really great support document for you guys to make sure that you really feel supported. I'm here for you guys, and that goes for everyone in this room as well. You can personally contact me. You can follow me on Instagram for tips, whatever it is. I'm more than happy to be here for educators and teachers and anyone, you know, who really needs that support. And then CMs, if you don't have anything else to add, I will probably say my goodbyes for this session, and then I can see you next time. No? You guys can give me a reaction if you felt that it was, you know, Show me some love if you felt, yeah, oh, here we go. Oh, thanks, Kathleen. Yep, everyone's saying, oh, you guys are so sweet. I will see you in the third session. It's been an absolute pleasure. I love being here online with you guys, even if it's not face-to-face, but hopefully next time I will see some of you guys face-to-face, so take care. All right, bye everyone online. Okay.
Sometimes there's pressure, isn't it?
Look, it's really hard. It's really hard. Like, and sometimes there's so much information. Like, look how much information we covered, right? And it's like, you know, sometimes you don't have those questions on hand, but it's when you walk away and you start implementing things that you think, oh yeah, what about this or what about that, or, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I think it's something that people just have to process, and then they'll come back with it too. But also sometimes when one person asks a question, it can open up that discussion for other people to ask questions too. Yes. Can you tell me your name first?
My name is Tala.
Tell it.
Yeah. So just the thing which we discussed in the last, you have to make connections. When, like, I have experienced with one of the child in my childcare center. He used to say, I hate you, I hate you. He doesn't be with me. But later on, like, we built a bond. We made a connection. And we spent time together. And it happens when he had the meltdown, so I support him. But later again, I experienced the same. He said, I hate you. I don't want to play with you. What could be the reason behind it?
Yeah.
What is the child trying to tell you?
Yeah, it's a great question. So when children will approach me and tell me that I hate you, the first thing I respond is, I can hear that you're having a hard time, right? So we know that children, when they say I hate you, it's just them trying to communicate like, I'm really struggling. Nothing to do with you. It's because he's upset at his friend, that his friend wasn't playing with him, and he's holding that anger or frustration, and then he says that to you because that's what the first thing that comes out, right? Because he's trying to communicate. So the first thing we need to do is not take it personally and understand that that child is just communicating to us something. So I always say, oh, I hear that you're having a hard time. Just know that I love you and I'm here for you, always. How lovely. Even if I was an adult and someone said to me, if someone said to me, I hate you, I would just look at them and say, like, I'm really sorry that you feel that way, but I'm here and I really care about you. So if there's anything I can do, come and find me. You don't even have to fix it, respond, nothing. You just acknowledge them and let them know that you're there for them. And then you can actually see maybe something happened before that. Maybe something, if he says it regularly, it could just be that he's insecure about something happening, or he feels uncomfortable and doesn't know how to tell you that I'm really struggling, or maybe he just needs space. Oh, I can hear that you need space right now. I'll just leave you alone. Let me know if you need anything from me. I'll just be over here.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah. Even if I'm really struggling, that someone's still going to be there for me. As an adult, how many people are there for us when we are seriously having a really hard time? Okay, so just knowing that I can be really upset and annoyed and whatever it is, but someone's still telling me that they're going to be there for me, guess what? When I calm down, I'm going to go straight to that person. I had a teenager that I was working with, and they were having a really hard day. They had a hard day at school. I had no idea. I was tutoring, sitting with them, blah, blah. Why? And then she had an outburst right towards me. And I just was like, oh God, right, here we go. And I'm like, it sounds like you had a really hard day. They threw everything on their desk, got up, stormed off, yelling, and left, right? I'm here, and I said before they left, I'm here when you need me. They left, 5-10 minutes later, they came back in and said, I'm so sorry for the way I reacted towards you. I didn't mean to. I had a really bad day at school. I was bullied, and they just started, right? They felt comfortable enough to have that conversation with me because I didn't judge them. Yeah. I still loved them. I still had that connection, and I acknowledged the fact that she had a really hard day. So sometimes we don't, and like for everyone who does have kids, teenagers, they're a whole another kettle of fish, but it's the same skills, acknowledging them, stating what you need to, connecting with them. So yeah. Thank you. That's okay. Yes.
I wrote something down.
Yep.
So say you've had a situation where, say like a child's thrown something at another child or injured another child in some way.
Yes.
So you're obviously giving the attention firstly to the child that's the most distressed, the
Yep.
one that's injured.
Yes.
I found a lot of the times when you go to then sort of debrief with the other child, they've moved on themselves, you know what I mean? They're engaged in other activity,
They've run
moved on,
away.
they've forgotten about
Yep.
it. So how would you then sort of bring them back to that
Great
situation
question.
and debrief?
Yes. Great question. So once I've dealt with the kid that's calmed and all that down and they're fine, the injured kid is fine and all that, two things I would do. The first thing is that if you can go and talk to the other child, oh, I can see you're so busy, look at the trains, blah, 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 whatever you're doing, right? Connect with them, get down to their level. Then what I would do is I would get them to notice the other child. Oh, I can see blah, blah, blah is feeling so much better. You seemed really angry before. Can you tell me what happened? If they're preschool and they can tell you what happened. If they're younger, I can see that you were really angry before. And if they can't talk to you about what happened and you can problem solve with them. So the first thing is if they're older, you can talk to them, you can problem solve with them. I can see when you're angry next time, you can come and tell me, I can step in for you, you know, and debrief like that. If they're younger and they can't debrief, I would let them know what they can do. If you're feeling really angry, say, stop, I don't like it. In that moment when the child is distressed and the other child has hit the other one, I would actually turn to the other child, the offender, the one who was hitting, and say, if they hit because the other child, say, took something off them or knocked down their tower and the other child hit them, I would tell that child, say, stop, I don't like it. Stop, I don't like it. Right? Like, or whatever it is, just, and show them physically in that moment. Then if they've moved on, I would bring their attention to the other person. Oh, do you want to go, let's go check and see if they're okay. Right? So you're teaching them how to make amends. I didn't mention that here, but that's a really important point. Teach them how to make amends. Go up to that other child. Oh, are you okay? Do you need a tissue? Can I help you? Whatever. Or if they're really busy and engaged, I would bring the other child to them, because it's really hard when a child is really focused on what they're doing to take their attention away from it. So I can say, oh, I can see you're really busy here. After this activity, I'd love to talk to you about what happened earlier on. Okay? So that's another thing. So just check and see where they're at, if they will give you that attention or if they're too busy, but you don't want to just ignore it, obviously. And it's an opportunity where you can then talk to them about it. Then later on during the day, I would do a role play scenario where I've got the dolls and I would actually get the whole group involved. So I would get that group involved and be like, oh, da-da-da came along and this person, and just do like a little story time. Like it doesn't even have to be like pulling that child aside and giving them a lecture. You know, it's more about how can we bring it into the learning so that everyone can respect each other. Yeah. Great question. I love it. Yeah, I'll go down here and then I'll go back up to you.
So earlier we learned that words phrases they shouldn't be avoided.
Yes.
They should be avoided. Let's say a child pushes other child.
Yes.
I always go and ask them, why did you do that? I mean, I know acknowledging it. I can
That's
see
okay.
that you have pushed the child.
Yes.
But
Okay. Yeah.
can you tell me?
So in that instance, okay, so give me a scenario that you've seen. What happened?
So a child pushed another child, and that is what I observed. I don't know what happened.
You don't know what happened before.
Yeah, so I go and ask, why did you do that? So I asked them this question, and so
Okay.
many times I asked this question to children.
Okay. So firstly, I'd love to challenge you. Sorry to put you on the spot. I'll help you. Don't worry. I want to challenge you. After today's session, what would you possibly say to that child now? So you've seen one child pushing another child. What would you say?
I can see that you have pushed that child.
Fantastic. Okay.
Can you tell me why?
Yeah. No. Yeah. That's great. So I can see you've pushed so and so. People are not for pushing. Firstly, I would say people are not for pushing. Okay. Because we want to make sure, hands on your own body, people are not for pushing. Can I help you with something? Are you struggling with something? Right? I'm here to help. What can I do? Right? Always make it about how you can help. What can I do? Acknowledge them, state your expectation, offer a choice, or ask them a question. Whenever you're in doubt in any scenario, follow the 3 steps. Acknowledge, state your expectation, offer a choice. Or instead of offering a choice, you can ask them, how can I help you? What can I do? Is that helpful?
Yeah.
Okay. Because sometimes you don't know why they push each other. Like it could be anything. It could be anything. It could be because they needed space. It could be because, I don't know, that child might have pushed them first. You don't know. So we can't assume anything. We just can observe what we do and help them, in that particular situation. Yes.
So we have a child is giving hard time to the teachers, but I will not say that.
I understand what you mean, Dori. No judgment. Yeah.
So child is having hard time kind of every day.
Every day.
So teachers were a bit overwhelmed. They
Yes.
called me at the reception, so I went there. So I can see color tablets Montessori everywhere. One in that corner, he has been still throwing it. And I went there. So I was going to ask, why are you doing it? Why did you do that? But then I meant, okay, let's pack it up. I will help you.
Yeah.
I sat down there, and then I asked the child, okay, let's pack it up. I can see one tablet under that shelf. Can you bring it, please?
Yeah.
He started bringing it. He did it. So I can see that strategies work.
Yeah.
Because I was helping.
Yes.
Next day, I just went randomly. They did not call me.
Yeah.
I saw that again. In the same color tablets.
Yeah.
Same situation, same corner.
Yeah.
Same thing. So I took a deep breath, So in those situations, what will you, and I'm thinking from today's session, so we might make a corner, emotion, put bean bags, all that stuff. I will definitely will do that.
Yeah.
But other things, it's an everyday thing.
Yeah, so if it's an everyday thing, that's showing you that there's something particularly that child needs, whether it's a throwing thing because he enjoys picking up the little colour tablets and throwing them because they need to. How old is the child?
He's 3.5.
3.5. Yeah, it could be a cause and effect thing. They could be, wanting to throw. It could be an attention thing as well. So the educators in the room, the way that you need to teach them how to acknowledge, I can see you really want to throw. This activity is not for throwing.
Yeah, they have tried so many times from kind of long time now.
Yeah.
Even during the circle time, there is a mat. Teacher is just getting ready to do the presentation. He will lie down on the mat.
Yeah.
Or he will take a mat on the top. So those things.
They have your staff build connection
Yeah.
with his child.
Yeah, but I was just about to say that.
Or him, or he's in the too hard bus.
Yep. Yep. This is the thing, right? As soon as that child comes in, I would literally, it's Manpreet, right, your name? Yes. Yep. I would literally have one educator with that child, playing with that child. Literally. As soon as he walks through the door, I won't say the child's name, but Jack, right? Oh, Jack, so good to see you today. How are you? Let's put your things away or whatever he likes doing. Dinosaurs, Play-Doh, anything. Let's go play Play-Doh together. When was the last time somebody sat down and actually played with that child? Tell me. I can
just read the books. That's what they have given the feedback.
Yeah.
He kind of, when he's 1-to-1, he's okay.
Yeah. But they need to build more one-on-one connection time with him, because that bond is what's going to help them cope when he's acting in that situation. The second thing is that they need to observe what's triggering him to do that throwing. With the observation sheet that you guys have, take a timestamp. What's happening before, what's happening after, during that time, okay? And then I would say to him, I can see you need attention. If he's in the middle of the mat rolling around and all that, he just is needing like that kid feels so left out or insecure or having a hard time. We don't know why, right? Maybe he needs to run around. Maybe he needs to go outside. Maybe he needs to throw more, whatever it is. You guys need to figure out what is it that's going on for that child and what's going to help him cope. But definitely it's about connection. Definitely it's about finding triggers, setting something else up for him to throw. Super important. Yeah, because as soon as he starts throwing those tablets, I would literally go in there. I would dive like, catch it. Oh, I caught one. This isn't for throwing. Here's a beanbag. Look, let's go throw the beanbag, right? And he'll just come with you and start throwing the beanbag. So yeah, good idea. Yes, everybody needs emotional intelligence building, calming corner, whatever you want to call it. Sensory, everything.
Yeah, we do have in our room.
Yep.
It really works.
It really does. It changes the whole dynamic of the space. Yeah. Yes.
Regarding to the fighting.
Yes.
For the child who's constantly fighting in the pace.
Yes.
He's very quick.
Yeah, very quick. They're so quick.
And we understand it's his way to express frustration.
Yeah.
He wants to say something.
Yeah.
However, his language
Toddler.
is not that yet.
Yeah.
2.5.
Yeah.
The kids are really good at bonding with him, and we have a good relationship.
Yeah.
He's a lovely little boy. And we always say that I can see you're upset. I know you want to play with her. We acknowledge his feelings, and we have state the boundaries, the expectations for him.
Yes.
Mouths are not for biting.
Yeah.
You can say stop, things like that.
Yeah.
But what's the other suggestion for offer a choice? What, because he's constantly doing
Yeah, so sometimes if the families have like a teether or something to bite into, so sometimes I offer them, because it's a sensory thing, right? They really love to bite down. You know, the teethers that you give young babies, the cold ones that they can bite on. Sometimes I've offered that to a child. The other thing is that if you do have a child that's biting, I would actually let all the other children be aware and learn what they can do as well. Okay, so if such and such bites you, you can say, stop, I don't like it. The other kids, because we tend to not give the other children skills, right? We just think, oh my gosh, we need to teach this child, but actually you need to teach all the other children how to cope with that particular child too, right? We don't think about that. Oh, what else can we do? Might not be about that child, it's about how can you give the supportive environment so the other friends know not to come too close. We had a young boy who was constantly biting, and he's so quick. Anytime someone came near him, by biting, because he couldn't cope with space. So we eventually figured it out, and we put up a little barrier around, like he put a mat down or whatever, and we taught the other kids, this boy gets upset when you come too close. You need to give him space, right? So we were equipping the other children with the skills on how to cope with that behavior or that child, so that they also feel comfortable. Even if they're little or toddlers, you can teach them, stop, I don't like it. But also if he's biting, like maybe give him something to chew on, or the only thing that I know that worked was a little teether that they can kind of bite onto, or clothing, like a thing. Sometimes they suck or they bite on those towels and things they bring from home, the little blanket, the soft one that they like to suck on or bite on. But it's a developmental thing. They grow out of it. It's just about doing all these things and being consistent, and it will change over time. I know it's hard, especially dealing with parents, especially for the child that was bitten, right? These difficult conversations are never easy, and it's not going to be easy, but you have to show them we're taking all the steps. We were really trying to support this child particularly, blah, blah, blah. And show them that you're doing everything that you possibly can to support, and know that it's just consistency and time, and it will resolve itself. Yeah. Yes.
So I had 2 more questions.
That's okay.
We spoke about this strategy, mimic behavior and model alternate.
Yes.
I mean, let's say if a child is crying, 2.5 yes, 2 years old child is crying, not stopping, doesn't want to listen to anyone, and very loud. How would you mimic that behavior?
So I wouldn't use that strategy in that situation. Yeah, so you got to select which strategies are going to work in which situations. In that situation, really, I would do anything to try and, if the child will let you, hold them, carry them, walk with them, whatever, right? If they outright refuse and they just don't want to have a bar of you, I know it's really loud. You can model like, oh, it's so loud, whispering, so loud, and maybe you can bring a book. I've tried everything, Play-Doh, put anything in front of them that you think that they might be interested in. I would sit down and play in front of that child. That's also a great strategy, guys. If you have a child that's not cooperating, upset, doesn't want to be involved, doesn't want to listen to you, get away from me, I'm so upset, my parents have just left, I don't want to know anyone. I literally bring one of their favorite things to them and I just start playing in front of them. I start drawing a picture. You will see the eye, as they're crying, the eye, or the, something that comes up. so that they start engaging you or seeing what you're doing and want to be involved. So that's something that you can try with that particular child. Just acknowledging them, being there for them, all that kind of stuff. Knowing what triggers them, like why are they crying constantly? Is it separation anxiety? Is it, all day? Is it sometimes so that will also help you with that situation.
And one more behavior is we have a child with sensory needs.
Yeah.
He's touching his private part.
Okay.
Our child is 2.5 years old.
Okay.
Really hard. One thing I found, maybe when the family educator goes out, he cries and touches his private part.
Okay. So it's like a calming thing or like a sensory thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe as soon as he wakes up, he touches his private part.
Yeah.
During the day sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm struggling.
Yeah, so I always let them know that can happen in the bathroom, like private, right? So this isn't for touching in the classroom. We can go to the bathroom if you need to, but I give them something else to squeeze. As soon as I see their hands down their pants or whatever, I tell them, like, hands are not for down your pants. We can go to the bathroom if you need to go to the toilet, or you can squeeze this. Look, see how nice it feels? You know what I mean? Give them something else because obviously he's using that as a comfort because he doesn't know what else to do, right? And that's the habit that he's formed. So we need to let them know where that's appropriate, which is in the bathroom, not in the classroom, and then give them something else that has that feeling or sensory or whatever it is to replace that behavior. Yeah. And if you do that constantly, it will become a new habit. That's all it is. It's just rewiring children's brains so that they're going to a different habit than what that they're doing reflexively. Yeah.
So we've got some children who prefer to be outdoors.
Yes.
And we can take a couple of children out just for ratio reasons and redirect them to come back inside after they've had their time outdoors. But how can we encourage the other children? Because once they see one child go outside, they all want to go outside.
Yeah.
But again, because we have those Montessori structured times, we've sort of let the children know, like, this child might need a few moments outside, but they're going to come back inside.
Yeah.
Do you have any other suggestions on what we can do to, I guess, sort of let the other children know that they just need a few moments, but they are coming back in?
Yeah. I really struggle with this topic of conversation because our space isn't outdoor-indoor space. However, there are times where we do need to stay inside and then, so what I would do in that situation is acknowledge them. You really want to go outside. I can see, and then say, yeah, this person, just needs a few minutes to come in. You're going to have a turn after. Would you like to write your name down if they're a little bit older? Well, let's put your name down on a list and make sure that you have time to go outside later. Sometimes when children see it written down or like, oh, I'm going to take actionable steps to help you in that situation, they can process it. So sometimes I've had kids that want to borrow a particular book from our library and somebody else has the book and they get really upset over it. I'm like, oh, I'm going to make sure I put your name on it so that you can see. I'm going to put that here and remind myself so that you can, then they can process it and be like, oh, okay, yep, I'm having a turn. It's because they have FOMO. They don't want to miss out, right? And they don't want to feel like, oh my God, I'm never going to get a turn. So I think if you've done something physical to show them, oh, let's go put it on the list that you'd like to go outside later. Let me go and write your name down for you. Come with me to the door, have a list of names. Let's put your name up there. Make it something that they can engage in. As soon as a child is engaged in the decision making, right, they feel like they can get through it. So it's about like involving them. They don't want to be told like, oh no, but you can't go outside because it's not your turn right now. Like do something with them to show them that they are going to have a turn and they can be involved in that decision and acknowledge their feelings. That's all you can do. Acknowledge them, help them, set your expectations. Oh, this person just really needs that time, and then give them a choice. Oh, would you like to put your name on the door to make sure you go outside, or should we write it down on a list? You choose. I guarantee you that child will be fine with the decision.
Kind of like what you mentioned at the start as well, when it's like, first we'll do this and then.
Yep, exactly. Yes.
So as we are talking about having challenging behaviors in a room, and sometimes it's really difficult to like apply the application process takes time to provide another support in the room.
Yes.
And the educators present in the room, they are completely focusing on the specific children. and the other children feel
Yeah.
like ignored or like
course.
they need attention, and they start doing those doing
Yes.
those behavior.
Yes.
They start mimicking them.
Of course.
So it gets really difficult to make them understand that they need us.
Yeah.
So how can we deal with that situation?
Yeah, I feel like this is a conversation that we don't often have with other children as well, right? We're so focused on what we can do about those particular children that need our support that we never have conversations with the other children, right? So for me, if I knew that this situation was taking up a lot of my time during the day, I would intentionally make time and divide it between my staff to be like, guys, okay, these are the kids that we don't usually engage with, we don't even spend 5 minutes with, we don't play with. Let's divide it up between ourselves and see if, okay, you can go and play with them too, you can go over here, and just to give them that connection time and stuff. And it's during those intentional moments where you're connecting with the other children that you might say, oh, you know, some of our friends sometimes need us more than others. If you need me to in that moment, you can come and get me anytime. It's just about letting them know. When was the last time you had conversations like that with the other kids? We don't, right? Just letting them know that you're acknowledging the situation, you're being honest about it, you're only one person, you can only do so much, but if they do really need you, they can come and find you at any time. If you'd like to play with me, let me know. You know, oh, I'd love to do this with you or that with you. As soon as I'm finished with them, I'll come and find you. You know, I know it's hard to wait. I know you'd love me to play with you. It's all it is, just connecting and acknowledging, and you don't always have to fix it.
Actually, we had those conversations. Like we don't have only one child in that room. We have multiple children in that room. So, yeah, educated. She does those conversations, but sometimes we can't help children.
No, I know.
To like, they want our attention and they do it out of like they want to.
I understand.
I also think though, if you put in the strategies that Sylvia's been talking about with the children that are throwing or doing the behaviours, they know their boundaries too. Because it's important that, you know, we follow these steps with those children, and hopefully that eventually
it will change
down.
Yeah, it will
change the dynamic.
It will change the dynamic. It will.
So it's ensuring all the staff are following these procedures, acknowledging and doing what they're doing. So that child knows, or the children with those additional needs know that everyone's going to be doing exactly the same thing. I might calm down, you know, I'm like...
Yeah, and you'll see that the other children will start using the strategies and skills when you do. So I've actually had kids that have literally stepped in when they saw someone like throwing something or whatever and saying, you know, that's not for throwing, da 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 da. And I'm like, oh my God, they're like little mini-me's because they're used to hearing that language. They start to advocate for you. They start to know what to do instead. So yeah, it's really, the whole dynamic will change. I promise you, I've been doing it for 15 years. Like it changes the outcomes for children and it changes the dynamic of the room, of the home, whatever it is. And you'll see that if you guys are consistent and you're working together and you really are implementing all of this, it will make it a lot easier for you.
Sure.
But yeah, good on you though. Like it's not an easy thing.
I think the hardest thing is getting all the educators on board with it. And just understanding it is a fire cap on these children and that consistency is really important.
Yeah. That's okay. All right. 1 o'clock. Wow, guys, you've been so patient. 2.5 hours. That's amazing. Hope I didn't bore you to death.
Not at all. I think, firstly, thank you for coming.
That's okay.
Has anyone else got any questions? I know that don't worry about the timing and things like that.
Can you come to our centre?
Can I come to your centre? Yeah, sure. I'd love to.